Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Hello and welcome once again to PMCO, which is of course PUBG Mobile Club Open's wonderful turn of events. Spring Split is here, day number 3 is here. We've till now seen some incredible plays from all across the board, but it is of course all thanks to Reno 5 Pro. And for that, of course, to power up our games, we're joined by once again none other than Ocean Sharma. Welcome to the desk, mate.
Thank you very much. And talking about this event, you know, PUBG Mobile Club Open, Pakistan region Spring Split, it has been incredible. Obviously, day 1 was incredible, day 2 as well, and everyone will be having their eyes set on the final things.
Exactly, and you talk about that road, that final thing, we are of course moving down towards the PMPL Season 3, and that is what this entire journey is for. For which of course Pakistan will have 3 teams that will be of course selected, and those teams will have to prove their worth, you know. They're going to have to of course not just randomly getting selected, they have to prove the domination within the lobby. And of course, for that, they need to get chicken dinners. They need to be on the top of the leaderboard as well.
I mean, you gotta, you know, mark your mettle out here. That's one of the most important things that you have to do with each and every game moving forward. Each and every day, the games are getting more and more fierce. The competition is getting more and more fierce. And today, if I'm not wrong, it's Group A and D that will be going against each other for sure.
That is true. But along with that, of course, we also talk about the prize pool indeed, where indeed you talk about $29,200 on the line from first till the 32nd position, but indeed in that only the first, second and third position holders will be getting the prize pool, along with which of course they will be qualifying from the Pakistan region for PMPL Season 3.
And they'll be moving forward, and you know, with that winner chicken dinner, that's one thing that they would be needing. That's
what
why we were showing that. That's why we were showing that, because you'll be needing winner chicken dinners just to get you good points. And then the most important thing is the kill points also matter out there, and that is that's how you know your stuff just goes on. Talking about the point system, first gets you 15, second gets you 12, third gets you 10, fourth gets you 8, gets you 6, 6 gets you 4, 6 is second, and 2 points, 8 gets you.
And yes, 13 to 16 get none. Absolutely. But along with that, what is going to be that much more incredibly crucial is going to be able to get kill points, because again, one kill will give you 1 point, and that is going to be the main thing that every team needs to be working towards.
Before this point system, there used to be the old point system when chicken used to get 20 points, second gets you 14 points, and players used to be like, if someone has chicken, they would still be having that 6-point lead, like in the placement department. Now it's just a 3-point lead, 15 and 12. So you actually have to go more for the kill points. You know, without that, it's just a different, a plain story. That is not the case now, because every player, every team, they know. I still remember Shapata's gameplay of that Miramar. He just enters in, gets those 2 kill points, and like things like that. I want to see more and more and more.
So true, so very true. Because again, I mean, you talk about the groups, we have been acclimated to the groups as well. You guys have of course seen the groups and their domination that they've brought, all of them, A, B, C and D. But today, as Ocean mentioned, we're going to be talking about Group A going against Group D.
Exactly, talking about Lost Esports, Team GHAZI, bfmEsports, Team Stoners. Good names are going to be just out here having the competition against each other. Knockout North Esports, C4 Gaming. Well, Fyme Esports did suffer a disqualification from Group A, so that team will not be playing, obviously. But if we're just moving up forward, there are a few more names. Obviously, I did not cast it yesterday's matches, but obviously, I still had high hopes for Portal Esports.
Absolutely, and they did put on that wonderful showcase and that wonderful domination for us, because it was just beautiful to be able to see that team. But along with that, of course, we've got N2D Freestyle, Zarar Esports, as well as NFP Sky Esports. Now, this is the lineup for today. Of course, the maps are going to remain the same, where indeed we start off from Erangel, move on down towards Sanhok, and then Miramar, and finally down towards Erangel once again. But eventually, of course, when you talk about the kind of domination we've seen from all of these groups, they are going to be fierce. The teams to look out for, of course, is going to be one of those teams that you mentioned, Ocean, is going to be PES.
I mean, PES, we're talking about all the other names as well. Zarar has been a big name previously as well. And then if you're just talking about FS, an incredible name, obviously have showcased. This name has been out there against the World League teams.
True.
There was one time. So yeah, I would love to see what the domination these players actually just bring forward to with each other.
Absolutely. With that, of course, let's talk about the schedule itself, which indeed, like we just mentioned, is going to be Erangel. That will be the first game. That will be Group A going against Group D, moving on down towards Sanhok, and then Miramar, and finally down back again into Erangel. Now, talk about Group A. Indeed, we have Well, of course, KO, knockout.
Yeah.
The team that did get the final chicken dinner on day number 1. Eventually, the way the day started off for them was not that good, but they did certainly showcase a dominating approach throughout. Alongside that, of course, is going to be Lost Esports, GHAZI, certain other teams to name from Group A itself that you should be on the lookout for. Or obviously, Group B has a dominating force with the likes of course, PES and Destroyers and H2E, and it's just so many names in there.
I mean, it just comes down to this thing. We can obviously have our favorites. I would like to ask the crowd as well, which is your favorite team. You know, you can just spam the name in the comment section. But the thing is, see, every team has their own sets of ups and downs in each and every game. You might be thinking like, you know, a team will be coming up with a really good swag and just, you know, taking those skills in one game. The other game, it's just like the other team, they just want the other teams, they just want to, you know, get a hold of that team. They'll be like, yeah, we are better. We just want to show, we just want that one chance. And when the other teams actually get that one chance, they just, you know, try and go for the wins. And that's an important thing.
Absolutely. And again, trying to just talk about the previous days that we've had, day 1 and day 2. From day 1, of course, it was knockout that stood out. Just that one game that they needed, because other than that, the 2 games that they did play, they were the worst first ones to get knocked out into the lobby, right? So again, you move on down towards the final game on Erangel. That was on day 1. It was knockout that did take a wonderful chicken dinner with amazing kills as well.
And even Miramar as well, second position.
Oh, yes.
So that started off their momentum, just like we actually discussed. They need one game for the placement points, the other one they'll get it good, and they did that for sure. They did that thing. So
incredibly.
It's just one thing, right? You gotta understand. Some teams get it right from the first game. Some teams take even 1 day or 2 days to understand what their opponents are doing.
Exactly. To get yourself acclimated itself, the day number 1 and day number 2 was just for that. But now you don't have that many more days remaining, because again, you talk about group stages. We've got 32 teams right now that are divided in Group A, B, C, and D respectively. But move on along from the group stage into the regional finals itself, you will only have 16 teams moving on forth, and that will take place after 4 days. Today, of course, is one of those days, and they have to bring in that dominating force. With that, what a wonderful flight path. We've got the entire map of Erangel divided into.
Yeah, that is true. The entire map has actually been divided into 2 different areas. We can talk about the eastern side and the western side right now. The flight path is from the southern side to the northern side, right off the bat, from the military base to Severny, Rozok School, Poaching. You're going to be good areas. If a team wants to go to Shelter, they can. If a team wants to go to Gatka, they can. If a team wants to go to Yasna, they can. If a team wants to go to Georgopol, they can. But the major factor is, where will the circle go? Because you don't play the game by your rules. Circle makes you play the game by its own rules.
Absolutely. Circle is the dominating force in this region itself when you talk about the Battle Royale of PUBG Mobile, and that is what will be the determining force as to where exactly will you be working towards, where exactly are your rotations going to be working down towards. And in that, of course, when you talk about this first flight path being showcased to us, we have a very segregated approach from all of these teams as they get themselves divided across the entirety of the map. There are a lot of many teams that are, of course, moving down towards the western side, that much more than the eastern side, but eventually, of course, we've got the first circle itself, Ocean, and with that, of course, is requiring your prediction as to where do you think is that final circle going to move on down.
So this is actually a Shelter-ish circle, the southern side of Shelter, from the farm to Shelter side. That's where the circle might as well just go. So PES has a really good area already for the zone for themselves. H2E might as well just go for a farm rotation to get a good area inside the circle. Talking about a single fact, no team went to Yasna and no team went to the whole military base. I mean, those 2 areas are really big areas, really good areas for your loot, but the teams just ignored them, and we can hear some gunshots, and it's happening on the back end side of Georgopol. And Matt, all right, he is safe for now, probably. I mean, the vehicle is damaged just a bit for sure.
Absolutely. That is mad from Team Stoner, getting away, running far away from the team of Lost Esports as of now. And again, Lost Esports believe Junaid and Iconic getting themselves acclimated and adjusted into that small little compound. They've got themselves a few little loot set up for themselves, but of course that's not going to be sufficient, as they will start moving on again to start looting as much as they possibly can. But talk about, well, again, onto the map itself, we did notice the team of NFP that was very divided across the southern side of the map. Now again, the next time map comes up, that is going to be my first location as to where exactly is NFP, because they were so separated from their teammates. But eventually again, move on the conversation down towards Lost Esports and the way Team Stoner has played in the day number 1. I mean, they were at the bottom. In fact, day number 2 also resulted in them being at the bottom. They are at the 32nd position as of now. So Lost Esports, they're looking okay, but Team Stoner, well, they are going to have to prove and they are going to have to dominate in today's game.
I mean, the teams will have to look forward to everything, right? Whatever comes their way, you'll have to take up the fights. Come what may, you just have to showcase your domination. But, well, right now, Lost Esports, just like we are seeing them just moving up from one area to the other. Leo is actually just here, but Maria, he needs to, find out a good area for himself. Plus 4G as well, as he's really close to Mad right now onto the back end side of Giorgio Hill. If we just talk about this one, N2D, meanwhile, those players are going to be moving on to the hospital side. Sounds like a decent plan. So that's just one thing. But PES, seems like there are a few teams, NES, because those are the only teams that are going to enjoy the circle. And Yasna, all right, C4 is just out there.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, we move our locations down toward the south, and that is going to be NFP. That's where I'm asking you to gauge your eyes upon, because NFP is certainly divided as of now. They've got no control over any car whatsoever at all. And along with that, of course, we also have the team of FS, which is going to be freestyle. That is very much divided, but again, FS is looking A-okay because they have the entire region to themselves. There's nothing to contest them. They've got the quarry, they've got a little bit of the god curve, that is Tyrant. That is, of course, going to probably want to move on down towards his team as well, but move on towards the top. That is where things are looking pretty interesting, because Zarar is all by themselves as well. So this, again, the right off the bat, this game is looking pretty good for all the teams, as they're all divided in their own small little segments.
Yeah, that is true. But still, I want to see how the teams, just move forward with everything. Well, I can see FS's players just, onto the back end side of Query and just will start to rush in as soon as the first zone just starts coming up. And it's just a matter of a while when we'll just start up with everything. Team Zara, they are out there onto the Savani side. They would also love to, just move inside the circle if it just, pokes them slowly and steadily close. Because be it the first circle or the final circle, blue zone does damage. It's just a matter of time how fast or how slow it does. And I can see the blue circle just coming in. That means the teams, they will have to be on to their rotations.
Absolutely, and right now they still have a little bit of time. But again, you talk about the team that is on the western side, which is down towards the Giorgiopol area, which is going to be DES. That I believe is, of course, going to be Destroyer Esports. Might have a fight against the likes of Team Stoner. Now, Team Stoner is also right along the corner, and of course, we see that DES is already making their rotation from Giorgiopol down towards the circle itself, and so conversation could move on down towards will Stoner take any chances against DES?
That's one of the most important things, right? You gotta have, if you want to have the early fights, or how much of a risk can you take while having that fight? Meanwhile, LS, alright, so we can see them just moving. Alright, so they have a vehicle. I thought that they were just, moving on foot. But they have a vehicle. They are onto the ruins side. So ruins kind of, it's not that good of an area, but it's not bad either. You don't get enough loot on ruins if you are 4-man squad and you want to have individual loots and all those things. So that's just one of the things. NES, meanwhile, this is a really good area. 3 players are in the apartments. They have vehicles for themselves as well. Obviously, they'll find another Darcy or maybe a buggy or something. But there's another player that's actually taking a control of school all alone. So if someone wants to see the Rozok Hill area, it's going to be Avenger OP for sure. Can just look at that area. Has a US for himself as well. Meanwhile, these 3 players can talk about a team that might be coming from the back end side of Pochinki to the hill that's right onto the back end side of apartment. So these guys all together have a proper 360-degree view of this entire area.
Absolutely, NES certainly looking in control. And again, you move on the conversation down towards the team of C4. They have not had a decent outing for themselves. And indeed, when it comes to the leaderboard, they were looking on the second last position to the third last position. That is the entirety of the leaderboard. That is all 32 teams combined. But move on down towards FS. Of course, they have moved on into the circle itself. That is FS Tyrant right now, getting that rotation set up right, going down towards the farm, and of course going to be moving on down towards a compound that will be comfortable for them. And that is the entirety of the team of Freestyle, making that rotation count. And of course, with that, of course, you talk about the loot, they are looking pretty confident. With that, Respect is on our screen, and he has a level 3 bag with level 2 helmet and level 2 vest as well, and that is going to be pretty dominating as soon as they get themselves in a compound. Along with that, we did notice that 2 of the players of FS were set up in just 1 car. Move the conversation down towards RS, which is of course going to be Redstone PK. They seem to be wanting to take a contestation against another team, or not yet. Of course, they are going to be moving on down towards another location altogether from this compound, and they seem to be pretty happy with their loot thus far, but they have no medkit, so of course they're going to have to, well, hurry up and get out of there.
And bandages are just there, but bandages don't do the job. If you just
Right.
want to get healed up quickly, like you might as well just need a med kit or maybe first aids and all those things. But right now, PES already, so Kashuf, Ismail, these players are trying to get a good area. They have a compound that's onto the back end side of shelter, so that seems like a really good compound. They can see if a team just is rotating from the mid side of the zone, and that is going to be a really good thing. Murtaza just has a UMP right now, but still, it can be a really lethal weapon if you're talking about the mid to close range fights and all those things, because SMGs, they do destructive damage when it's a close range battle. Meanwhile, BFM Shari is just out there, but onto the back end, the house that they are holding, backside is going to be apartments, and that's where one team is, we know. But well, first airdrop has a responsibility, that is AWM with an extended quick draw mag of snipers. Like you already have 5 bullets in one mag, now make it 7.
Absolutely, and this is of course going to be a first airdrop coming onto the map itself. When we talk about teams around the area, well, we don't see a lot of teams around the area, but now we move on down towards North Esports, and that is Maxi and Ehmer in one car setting themselves down towards the compound. Or they're probably going to be moving away from the compound, not yet actually, because again they can very well just set themselves up in that compound, but FS is not that far behind. FS certainly did hear those sound cues from the cars, the 2 cars that moved on down towards the compound, and they might have their crosshairs down towards the team of NES for now.
Well, as of now, yeah, that is totally true. And right now, we can see the circle just, moving just a bit forward. And this is where it might just be tricky, because a lot of areas, starting from Yasna to shelter, maybe school apartments to Yasna, like this triangle, school apartments, Yasna, shelter, it's like, out in the open. And that's where the circle is going right now. So teams will have to see if they have to look down to the open area, yes or no, and how do they look down onto the open area fights. Because if it's the open area, all the cover that you can get is through your vehicles only.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, we've got this first airdrop on towards the side of prison right now, and there's no team that is so very close towards that apart from Knockout. So Knockout could very well go down towards that. But with that, what are we seeing here? We've got BFM already setting themselves towards the compound, and they're taking shots down towards the side of NES, which were setting themselves in 2 different cars and making the rotation. And with that, they will be running away from this entire compound, because they did get a few shots, and a little bit of damage was of course sustained from the side of course BFM.
Well, as of now, there's something that is happening. Well, we'll have to see how the fights, just move forward. We still have to see if there's any casualty. No first bloods yet. No team got eliminated yet. So that is just one of the things. All right, so I guess NES, they have their eyes on the team, and that is going to be FM Terminator was just moving forward. Snows one good car 98 shot. Might as well just take down the helmet, if not the player. See, helmet's damage is also crucial. You are going to be, making your opponents waste their utilities if it just comes down to that.
Absolutely, because again, the information was given away from BFM that they were the ones who did take up that initial fight against the side, and therefore we can certainly see a retaliation coming in from the other side. But of course, we move on the conversation down towards NFP. They are looking pretty dominating in this force, and they have a little bit of information down towards the Lost Esports side as well. But will they be taking an early fight? I doubt it. They are only looking down towards getting a bit more of information, and they of course have themselves segregated in 3 different apartments as of now, 3 different houses rather, I should say, and that is looking pretty dominating and a pretty decent composition for the side of NFP for now.
Exactly, that's the most important thing. But well, NFP sounds like they were taking their own fight. But right now, RS, they have spotted on the players of TS. So we'll have to see how that just happens, because they have given out their information. Plus, also, they have made a bit of a fear setup in their opponent's mind that there is a team just out here that will be ready to dominate on us, probably if we rush badly. So no team's going to rush them right now, plus they have a good compound for themselves. Meanwhile, the second circle's closing in. That's also a really tricky situation, because this is second circle. When supposedly third or maybe the 3rd to 4th circle closes in, that's where we'll see a lot of fights just coming out. Meanwhile, we saw something happening in the kill feed as well. That means slowly and steadily, the teams are trying to understand that yes, their opponents are getting closer and closer.
Absolutely, that was FS, that is FS Tyrant taking shots against Lost Esports, and that is the first kill that could very well be confirmed, but not yet. Till now, we don't have any kills being confirmed, and this is of course Team Stoner looking on down towards C4. They have their crosshairs already set up. The only conversation is going to be, will this LEO, that is Leo from Team Stoner, be able to get a confirmation, a knock or a damage down towards C4. C4 is probably looted, and they are moving away from that compound. They are looking pretty comfortable, but again, you move on to the map itself. All the teams are in the circle for now. GHAZI on top of Yasnaya is looking pretty confident because there's no team to contest them. Down towards the western side, up above Rozok is N2D, which again is looking pretty dominating and comfortable all by themselves. And talking about that triangle itself that you of course did mention, we are moving the circle down towards the exact same region. Ocean.
Yeah, and that's where the fights are going to be just breaking down because it's the all open area. I mean, there are a few teams with a few houses for themselves, but then those houses are also up for contestation. I mean, if you get one knock in that house, you might as well just rush in with your teammates. Something like that might just happen in a few seconds or maybe minutes if I'm not wrong. But with H2E, they're going to be coming up from the Potato Hill. There's the Potato Hill, and when they just get inside the circle, NFP, FS, they'll have to decide if they go for around the circle rotation or if they just get in, because it's going to be a tricky affair for the players.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, FS making themselves comfortable in that compound, but NES is moving down towards FS, which could very well turn out into a deadly affair for the side. But again, we'll have to see as to how that rotation turns out, as Ocean just mentioned. But move on down towards, of course, Lost Esports. They have the information down towards FS. Now, keep in mind, we just did have a look at the map, and backside of FS is again two teams, H2E as well as the other one, that could very well make their rotations exactly towards FS, thus bringing them or squeezing them down into a sandwich. But again, we'll have to keep in mind that that could not be the case, because the rotation is what this entire conversation is of course going to be based on.
All right, well, Respect again is trying to spot someone if they can. I love it how they are, just getting their utilities and their vehicles secure and safe every time they are just stopping somewhere. I mean, they know the importance. They know once the final fights actually break loose, you will need those vehicles come what may. It might be for rotations, might be for the covers, might be for anything. So that's one of the most important things. LS, meanwhile, they are being spotted on to the other side as well. I don't know if FS knows exactly that where the team is, but right now they are focusing on the airdrop. Might as well go for an airdrop hunting, but at this moment it might be a risky affair.
Absolutely, certainly. For now, it could be a risky affair. But yes, I do believe that FS has the information, because they were the one who were making the rotation, and Lost Esports, still in that same compound, were the ones who did take up the initial fight against FS. But right now, it seems like FS is holding their ground with not a lot to actually, crowd about or shout about, because they are looking pretty comfortable. There's no other team around the area to be able to contest that region. But move on down towards RS and N2D. They have made their rotation. Of course, we're looking at RS, which is going to have to keep in mind that this compound is either going to be contested against them, or they are going to have to move away from this.
That is true. RS, they are still just out there, but they are at the edge of the circle. So that, again becomes a tricky affair. If you want to be inside the circle and block the path for your opponents, or if you want to just, take up a fight outside the circle by exerting just a bit of a pressure. All right, so that was a good shot, but it just missed up its mark. And Toxic, where are you coming? I mean, the place that you see is going to be filled out with your opponents, but look at Fire taking down Toxic. Exactly, that was a mistake. But Fire right now just trying to push down all the other players, and Toxic, where he goes down in the situation onto the other side. All the other players are just moving forward. RS onto the other side. PFM Hunter takes down Entity Zagan, and now comes the major stuff. Fourth circle. It just pushes upwards. It's out in the open. You got to take all the fights there.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, RS being the first team to get themselves a kill in the entire lobby and looking pretty confident with that. They are maintaining the edge of the circle approach towards the end of this, but with that, they also did get the information down towards N2D as to how and what exact rotation is that team making. But keep in mind that when you look on towards the western side of the map right now, we are looking at RE at a very, very close end of that circle, but right above them is going to be BFM in their path. But will they make the rotation? Because again, you talk about RS, the way they had themselves set up in that compound was looking pretty confident, but Redstone PK needs to get into the car and get out of that situation. But with that, of course, move on with PS, and PS is certainly dominating H2E, and they were in the center of the circle since the start. And with that, we've got at least 2 to 3 knocks coming in down towards H2E.
3 knocks came down and the team got eliminated. This is something different that happened. You can see the players of FS were also taking a fight onto this side, but Respect needs up a revive, and that's going to be an important thing. And PES is onto the other side, and C4 right behind them. So many teams in so close of a vicinity to each other. Zulkar has to move forward onto Respect side. Somewhere down the line, this might be a big mistake if things go south. Zulkar enjoying all the loot right now, and now they will be moving up forward, but Respect's revival is a big question again. All right, so they are moving up forward. They have a good smoke area for themselves. They can see their opponents as well, but right now revive is the main priority, and after that they have to move inside the circle because they are 39 meters shy from the zone.
Absolutely. For now, FS is certainly maintaining that wonderful position, which is going to be able to get that smoke wall set up and get the fourth player all into the game itself. But with that, Zarar taking another knockdown towards NES, and Zarar Zig taking another knockdown towards North Esports. And with that, 2 knocks coming in for the side of NES for now. But move on down towards PES. They are in the open once again, and they have 3 to 4 teams that will be contesting for this zone. FS is certainly looking confident, but PES, they are out in the open. They are trying to maintain a decent balance and maintain a decent position, but again, keeping in mind that they're in the open, they could very well get backfired from this.
Well, Murtaza was actually having a really good aim at that moment. Obviously, he missed up a few shots, but the thing is that he actually spotted down his opponents, and now Momto is also onto the other side trying to take down those kills if he can. But the thing is, for FS, Circle is not their best friend right now. Like, Circle is away from them. They need to pick up their vehicles. They need to start moving if it comes down to that or something like that. Because PES, KO, like there are so many teams right onto this area. But PES as well. 1-3 split. Murtaza goes down from respect. That was a really brilliant knock that just comes down to here. It actually puts down PES in a pickle. Will they go for a revive or will they not? Because Draco from knockout from the back inside goes for a back 7. Now the players will have to move forward. But Kashu also knows there's a team behind them. But Tyrant is moving up forward. Might as well just be a different situation. But Tyrant, alright, that was a bold move. That was a really bold move. But Tyrant goes down as a smile was onto the back end side. And now Kashu spots down 1 with his M4 trying to take him down. But nope, Zulkar moves from the other side. And this is like, it is a different situation now. You can see so many teams with a lot of chaos.
Absolutely. This is the third party chaos that's happening right here, where indeed PES was in the center and they were not. There was nothing supporting them. There was no rock. There was just a couple of trees that they could probably get themselves behind and get themselves safeguarded. But that, of course, was going to have to fail. And with that, PES not looking too confident. But FS on the other side is very dominating in this entire approach. Of course, the circle is pushing for them, but they have the advantage. But move on down towards the circle itself. Zarar all by themselves, looking very comfortable. But of course, keeping in mind that that is also an open zone right there.
Well, Believe is down in the open. What is happening? But can he take down one? Yes, he does, but it's going to be a mistake as he is being shot down from the other direction. He gets spotted down. Ismail finishes the job. Will be going back down to the shack as well. Now, Zulkar, can he, revive his teammates? That's the most important question. Obviously, they have a smoke cover for themselves, but the circle timing is going to be crucial. The circle will start in a while, and right now he needs to touch the other one. He needs to touch the other one when Tyrant is on low HP, but well, already if both of them gets a revive, that's going to be a good thing. So that's going to be one of the things that they'll have to look forward to. Zulkar gets a revive on one. Will be touching down the second player. I think so. He will. Well, the players are moving up forward somehow. And what is happening? Tyrant is going down. No! Tyrant!
Wow, what conversation went there? What happened, FS? They had the entire control. Ocean, as you mentioned, he should have probably gone for that revival first things first, but eventually they probably just decided within themselves that they ought to because the circle is coming in, and that of course is the fifth zone, and the amount of damage that they're probably going to be getting through that is going to be detrimental. But again, they had the cars. They should have been able to get that rotation done in time, but they are of course doing that. We can see Respect and Zulka on towards the upper hand side of our zone right here, and they are getting themselves acclimated right next to that zone.
Whoa!
But with that, GHAZI bringing in a lot of domination. On the other side, of course, we talk about the knockouts coming in, bringing in a lot of domination. Knockouts have already brought 2 more kills towards themselves.
I mean, a drive over just happened right now. You saw it in the kill feed. But look at GHAZI Khan does not have a helmet. His vest is totally done for. But once he spots someone, he's taking them down. But no. Zigzag, shoot straight, takes one down. That was good. Now it's down to 10 teams and 32 players alive. I mean, these are the players. These are their vehicles. This is no party right now because this is just the fights that are happening. Sky Ash, he has a stun grenade. I mean, he cannot use it right now. All he needs to do is just to watch his back, and there is no team, so all he has to do now is watch his front.
I'm loving the way Zarar is approaching this game because they were certainly in the circle and they had that wonderful cover as well of those houses that they were on, and rather on top of. They are bringing in a lot of kills for themselves, but we look on towards the kill feed. We are looking at PES still in control. Ismail right there bringing down towards the players of N2D, and that is looking really confident. But with that, Ismail has certainly given away his position, and Zarar has definitely looked on towards that towards those fights, and PES is not looking good. I mean, Zarar is the one who is in control of this entire circle for the moment. But move on down towards Team Stoner. Now, this is a team who's only got one kill thus far. With the DP, he is, of course, going to be looking down towards the side of DES, but not yet, because Zarar is still in control. Zigzag bringing in another dominating knockout from the side of Team Stoner.
Well, right now, DES will have to see what they can lose right now, because Draco takes down one, and he is looking really good. But Noob's Grenade takes down KO's Upser, so that's one of the things. I mean, the players think that they have a good cover for themselves, but the circle, again, it's going to be a different and a tricky situation. Look at this. The one good revival should just come in right about now, and yes, the revival has started. So that's one of the things. But right now, if we talk about TS, all they have to do is move inside the circle. It's going to be a really tricky affair, because C4, I mean, if we're talking about NFP, so many teams have already made their way inside the circle. So for TS, it's going to be a really, really tricky affair. But Zarar, unfazed, inside the circle, enjoying everything. They are living up a really good day.
Absolutely. With that, you talk about knockout. The first day did work in their favor in the final match, and right now they have themselves a really, really good control of this small little area. The only question is going to be that they've got the car that one of them is blasted, another one is not. They have certainly got their crosshairs down towards DES, and with that, DES goes down. Destroyer Esports has been knocked down. One after the other. Knockout did bring in a lot of control in that, and they have been sent back into the lobby. But move on the conversation down towards Redstone DK. They are, of course, going to have to slowly and steadily get themselves in the zone as everybody now starts pushing on towards the compound of Zarar.
Well, slowly and steadily, the players are moving forward. As you can see out in the situation, C4 Ahmed's grenade takes down 4G. And now 4G and teammates will have to see what they can do. Upster goes down once again. It's the second knock. Noob also goes down in the situation. Ahmed low on HP goes down by Leo from the other direction. Gulfam will have to go and take down one player. Professor, meanwhile, takes down Upster. And Gulfam actually takes down Leo. Now the trades are coming in. Down to 7 teams, 18 players surviving. Fire has to rage fire onto the players of Zarar, because they are teasing every team. Yep. They have the circle, they have the house, they have the compounds for themselves. They are teasing every team properly.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, the entire fight that right now we're looking at is going to be out in the open. In that, you talk about the covers. C4 certainly has a little bit of cover. Knockout is out in the open. They have no idea. Musa has no idea that Team Stoner Malco is right behind him. As soon as Musa gives away the information, as soon as he starts shooting down towards C4, that will be troublesome for the likes of course, not only C4 but KO as well. Because if we look at Team Stoner, they have 2 players right behind C4 as well as the other team, and this is going to be detrimental for this team. And with that, knockout taking things in their control. Team Stoner has been eliminated.
Sounds like they spotted another one. I mean, look at this. Zarar Zigzag takes down Vegeta. I mean, Team Zarar, the circle surely is helping them again. They are the only team that is at the edge of the circle, and they'll have to take all the fights for themselves. Sky Ash again just moving up forward, will be going and being one with nature. I think one more player goes down, but the players on, yes, it's going to be NES Max. Avenger OP is onto the back and said can go for a perfect backstab. At least at one player of Team Zarar. If we can do a 1v4, that's even brilliant. We'll have to see how that happens. I mean, Professor is just out in. Every player is unfazed by the fact that Avenger OP is onto the back lines.
Exactly, but then again, Ocean, I mean, the conversation for him should automatically go down towards he's the only man surviving for his team. He ought to just keep his head down and survive for as long as he possibly can, because he knows for a fact he's got the kill feed in his phone itself, and he knows that Zarar right in front of him are bringing down players. They have the cover of these houses, whereas all the other teams are out in the open. But again, you talk about contestation. This is Zarar, NFP, who have all 4 men alive of their teams. Knockout is out there, Draco all by himself. As you mentioned, NES Avenger OP is also right behind the compound of Zarar. But the conversation is going to be, well, Knockout already being knocked out. Zarar still in control. Zarar has all the information. And with that, Knockout goes back into the lobby.
Well, Professor is looking really good. Can take another one down. That was incredible. But he's getting shotted from the other direction as well. All he can do is just bait that one player out that he has taken down. I mean, Kian is just down right now. I mean, if he has some good dribbles, might as well just go for a jump shot. But Zaraz Alim takes down RS and Redstone. PK also gets eliminated. Will be going for a reload and revive as well. But Avenger OP, he is coming. He is coming. But can he do the damage? His helmet is good. His vest is good. Look at this. He spots one. He takes him down. Yes, he does. Or he doesn't. Oh, he's shooting in the wrong direction. Sky Ash takes him down. Avenger OP so close yet so far. And now we are down to 2 teams. 4 versus 4. It's going to be NFP versus Team Zarar. Professor, like no one can anticipate him out there. Can he actually be the main man of this heist that they are doing out here?
From the looks of it, certainly Zarar has a lot of control of this entire compound. But along with that, of course, NFP have got themselves very well segregated and set up. And of course, the conversation is going to be how exactly are they planning on pushing on along. With that, Professor has been picked out from the side of NFP Sky Hater. And this is going to be a conversation as to how exactly is NFP going to be approaching. And with that, Ash bringing and knocking down another player, which is, of course, going to be Myth for now.
Well, Sky Ash moving on to the back inside. Zarar Zigzag goes down. This is down to a 2v2 affair. You can see the players are down, but right now Zalim can he does just take this fight. It's a 2v1 as per se. All right, Myth, he has to do everything. I mean, on to the other side. Look at that. The confirmations are coming up. It's a one-player affair or not anymore. NFP already just cementing their name. 9-kill gameplay. Incredible.
Wow, what a wonderful play that was coming in from the side of NFP. Even though Zarar were in control throughout the entirety of that final 2 circles, they did bring in a lot of knocks for themselves, but eventually, of course, it was NFP and their approach towards the entire compound that brought in a wonderful chicken dinner for this wonderful team.
I mean, this game, it kind of sets up the momentum, right, for the whole day. And NFP will be looking good. Zarar will be looking good. I would say even Avenger and his teammates will be looking good. Obviously, they did not take that fight in the best of the affairs, but still, that was a really good effort by Avenger OP. But if we're just talking about all these players and all these teams and everything, the start was good. Given the fact it was an open circle, I was surprised. Like, there were so many teams alive till like what? Fourth circle or fifth circle affair.
Exactly. I mean, they were just segregating themselves in that quadrilateral sort of an approach where indeed you had PES on one side, you had C4 on another side, you had Zarar in the center of the compound. On the other side, of course, we saw NES bring in that Avenger OP on the back end. But eventually, again, the push that came in from him did not work in favor of him because NFP was right there to bring that wonderful, wonderful push down.
Well, that's the most important thing, right? We were seeing all the teams and all the players just trying to do everything in their favor if they could. But, well, they tried, but there's just one team and one player that just outshines them all.
Absolutely. With that, of course, let's move on down towards the most valuable player from today's game, and that is going to be NFP's Sky Cut. And what a player that is, because he has brought 6 kills for his team with 637 damage and survival time of 26 minutes and 30 seconds, 1 assist and only 204 healing done.
Well, that is brilliant. I mean, 6 kills by an individual, that incredible number. 26 plus minutes of survival time. Obviously, he did survive, and his team also just got the best out of 1 assist by this lad. Yeah, they were doing everything in their power to take it down, to take the competition in their hands. And I remember there was his teammate only that got 3 kills, and the team actually got 9 kills. So it was actually a 2-man squad, while the other 2 men were the proper supporters, were the proper backbone for the team.
Absolutely were. With that, let's move on towards the top players of today's game and find out. Of course, we did see Zarar Professor bring in a lot of wonderful plays. We did see NFP bringing in some incredible clutches. PES not that far behind.
Ismail actually took up a few kills for his team when it was needed. Like so there were so many names that were doing really good stuff.
Exactly, and again the conversation would be who exactly amongst all these teams are going to be part of that top player list.
Well, it is Professor Zigzag as well. Zalim from Zarar. So 3 players from Zarar, 1 from NFP Sky. Good numbers, but look at this, 929 damage with 3 kills. That's impressive.
Oh yes, it certainly is. With that is looking really phenomenal for the side of course, Zarar. I mean, again, it had to favor them because the way they had themselves set up in the circle, in the final circle as well, they had the entire compound to themselves. They had the support of that. They had the upper advantage of that. It just worked in their favor through and through. But eventually, NFP, the way they clutched that victory was beautiful. With that, talking about the entire game, let's summarize it and move on towards the match summary itself and look at the highest number of kills that we just witnessed, of course, both from the side of NFP x Sky Khatar, but move on towards Zarar. I mean, they are dominating right here.
Yeah, and Sky Ash was also out there with the maximum assists. Obviously, that's a really, really good number. But if we're talking about the other stuff, Zarar was looking good in their report card. Zigzag, and Zalim. Maybe the longest distance travel. And given the fact they were actually in one compound this whole time, I mean, that's a really good thing. Because obviously, they had to find the perfect compound. The distance was worth it, I would say.
Absolutely was. I mean, again, you're talking about 12,000 meters plus covered and finding that perfect. I mean, there was nothing around that region. Just those compounds and just those small little houses. And that Zarar did take in control perfectly. They had information about all the other teams that were surrounding them. But eventually, again, you talk about the push coming in from NFP side. It just worked in NFP's favor. The way that approach was made, the way they were able to gun down. Because again, Professor was on top of that house for the longest time. He was peeking from the exact same position, and the more you do it, the more information you keep giving away. But with that, let's talk about this match's ranking itself, and in that you did see, of course, NFP bringing in a wonderful chicken dinner for themselves. But yeah, talking about the rant, I mean, Zarar, it has been a rant through and through for Zarar because it had to be their game.
Knockout is still looking really good. I mean, 4 placement points and 10 kills. This team now is looking really impressive with the aggression that this has. PMCO Esports, 6 kills, 1 placement point. Okay, Redstone PK, a Palindrome, 6 placement points and 1 kill. bfmEsports, 4 kills but no placement. I mean, there are a few teams that are doing perfect stuff, and there are a few teams that are going a lot on the aggression side. So, like, the balance is something that gets you a chicken dinner.
Absolutely. With that, of course, we see BFM. They did not focus on bringing themselves towards the end of the final fight, but they did bring in towards the domination force, and that is why they've got those 4 points because of the focus they were able to get. And talking about FS, they were out in the open, but they did eventually end up getting themselves 3 kills with that 1 placement point, thus leading themselves to 4th position. But Team Stoner also not looking that bad, actually.
I mean, that is true. Not looking bad at all. That's one of the things. But well, if this is just, you know, a few things, I would say that there was a few moments in this particular game that were, you know, just changing the course of the entire game. Some open area fights, and I don't know, was there a technical issue or what happened when, you know, the revival
right?
Yeah,
yes.
The revival did not come in. I don't know, but had it been there, it might have changed the game for something else. Something else probably.
True, it certainly should have and could have, but eventually they decided that no, we're not going to be able to do it, or maybe, like you said, maybe it wasn't.
Maybe the circle was coming or something.
Perhaps. But with that, let's move on down towards the Oppo moments, and perhaps that thing will be highlighted through the moments themselves, as we'll get to see another side of the conversation that we're not able to notice earlier.
Yeah, probably. But this was an incredible spray by PES Mom2, and then look at this. Philly takes down 1, but then obviously was in the open, and he gets taken down by Ismail as Ismail just comes out in the open area. Look at this, 5th circle, still 13 teams, and after 13 straight away we saw 10 teams, and that is how the numbers just decrease with everything. But talking about the circle, that it was in the open, and alright, well, this was also one thing, but talking about the circle as it was in the open, I mean, Zarar took the best out. Look at this, so many confirmations and so many things just happening. Professor again, another one. So incredible gameplay.
Absolutely. I mean, Zarar certainly were the ones who were contesting for this, but again, you talk about NAS and their approach, they were just knocked out. Even though Avenger had a wonderful advantage, he was not able to capitalize on that, but with the push that NFP made, it was in their favor through and through. Professor was certainly up on top, but he had revealed his position long back. So NFP knew exactly where to keep their crosshairs for. As soon as Professor peaks, they are going to be bringing him down, and that's exactly what they did.
I mean, that was exactly the thing needed. Obviously, Professor was not the last one to go down, but yeah,
True.
the team, they actually knew that it's just these 2-3 houses.
Yep.
We have to find our business, and the business is chicken dinner. We have to find that out here, because obviously, we got to eliminate the other team. When it's 2 teams remaining, even when it's like 3 teams remaining, what you can do is just wait for the other 2 to fight, and then you fight. But when it's 2 teams remaining, you got to have a fight. That's how you get the chicken
and
dinner.
There was no conversation in that where Zarar would have left the compound to go on forth against NFP. But the way NFP made that approach, that was just perfect, because 3 of their team members were all spanned out, whereas just that one, Ash, I believe it was, who was the one who was pushing along, and the back end was just supporting him throughout that push. And with that, what a wonderful chicken dinner coming in from match number 1 on Erangel. With that, we're going to go on a very, very short break. Stick around. We're going to be right back. Hello and welcome back once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open. This is of course the spring split in Pakistan region. It is all of course thanks to Reno 5 Pro, where indeed when you talk about game number 1, that was a wonderful affair. Group A going against Group D, just perfect domination. That is what we had expected. But move on to the second map, Ocean. This is where things might maybe change.
I mean, this is where things will change for sure. We are talking about Sanhok. Everyone before this, Group A has played 2 Erangel, Group B has played 2 Erangel, C and D, like they have played 2 Erangels and all. One Sanhok, that is what they have played just. Like 1-1 each. So now it comes down to their second Sanhok. Had they, so if a team is playing second Sanhok or second Miramar, the major portion that they have to do is, if they put up a few mistakes in their first Sanhok, they gotta rectify that, and this is their only chance, because after this, obviously, you know, the overall standings also kind of just start reflecting something and something.
So true indeed. And you talk about Sanhok, of course, in day 1 itself, we did see ESN, that is Esports Nation, bring in a wonderful chicken dinner for themselves. But you talk about the annihilation and the domination that was seen all across the map in that lobby, as well as the second day lobby, was just wonderful, just absolutely incredible. That is exactly where TG started their approach as well, with one chicken dinner and move on to the second one. But never mind TG, because they are in Group B. Today we're only talking about Group A going against Group D. Now, in that, the way the groups have approached this first game, Ocean, what are you going to say about certain teams like, for example, Redstone PK?
I would say, see, they did take some good fights, but then when it was like 6 circle or something, that's when they did go down. So we're talking about a team like this, because if you remember, when they were onto the backside of Rozok and our team was coming down, they did actually go for good space. So it's like the team will never shy off from a competition. True. They would always want a competition. They would always go for a competition. Taking a good fight and a bad fight, it all depends on the short calls and whatnot. Because at that time, if someone panics, the team goes down. Even if someone does not panic, if something, see, if you are ready for a fight, but if you don't take the shot in the right way, things can turn bad.
Exactly. I mean, you talk about Snow, you talk about Fire from RS. They did certainly bring in that domination, and they did bring in the spray as well towards those cars as they were pushing on along. But somewhere along the line, the way the rotation was worked out for RS, it did backfire for them. That was the really late rotation coming in from them. And again, as soon as they did step into that final circle, there were so many teams contesting for that small little area in the open itself, so they had to be brought down. But again, you talk about teams that move on along from that towards, of course, Zarar. That was a wonderful, phenomenal turn of events where aggression was on point, PES aggression was on point, but they were in the open. So again, if you were to talk about PUBG Esports, what do you think should we expect from them in this game now?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But if we are just, thinking about all these things, and right now I would still say this region, as per general, it's going really aggressive, and that's a really good thing. Everyone wants to go and know for the how the the situations happen. Everyone wants to learn from how the aggression comes down. But this this region in itself, it's learning slowly and steadily, and it's learning good. It's implementing all the things that it sees. All the teams, I mean, they are impressing the audience for sure.
Most certainly, no question about it. I mean, the first game itself, we saw 3 teams, the first 3 teams themselves take up so many kills. I mean, 10, 10, 9, that was like 29, 30 kills coming in from just the first 3 teams itself. So again, and you talk about the way you need to pick yourself up from your previous games in towards the next game. Team Stoner has showcased that through and through, no question about it. I mean, they were on the final position of that leaderboard, but the way they showcased that wonderful play, that is TS team, that was just phenomenal, because they're on the first page as of now of Group A and D. So again, they need to just buck up and keep that momentum forth.
Exactly. They gotta do that. They gotta, understand what is going on. And obviously, we'll be seeing the match also in a while. And that's one of the most important things. Because obviously, we can have our speculations, we can have our calculations, we can have our understanding what's going good, what's going bad, how is it going, how is it not going, and everything. But the most important thing is, it's down to the players. How do they strategize? Will they change their drop locations? Will the flight path, it's Sanhok, the flight path will favor them, but will they, be able to rotate through the zones and everything? Because everything matters in a game. There are 4 pillars to a game, right? Landing, looting, rushing, and survival. If you survive till the end, you get that chicken dinner.
Exactly. And for now, so many of these teams are just out. Well, they're not really focusing on that survival aspect as of now. But with that, of course,
they're focusing on the killing part for sure.
They're focusing on the killing part for sure, because they're looking on towards those points. And never mind, even if they are not able to get themselves a placement point, like for example BFM in the previous game, they did end up getting within those moments itself 4 kills for themselves.
Exactly. But right now we are in the game. We can see the flight path right in front of our screens as of now, and you can see the players as well just going down. LS Smith is just dropping down to the cave side area. Sounds like a really good area for your initial loots, and obviously you can, if you find a board onto the back end side, you can just go for a proper rotation with the board if a circle is not favoring or something like that. We'll have to see what happens, but all right, that was a really smooth landing. Thank you for actually showing us that landing. That was an incredible one, but right now we'll have to see where the circle comes down, and Myth, all right, he landed good, but he just is standing.
Well, it was a myth. It is a myth, maybe. The connotation that is being brought on from towards the way that wonderful landing did work in its favor. But again, I mean, that is Lost Esports right there, who are getting themselves acclimated. But talk about the circle itself. It is certainly moving on down towards the western approach, and Painan being the center pretty much of the circle for now. But talk about Zarar, that is up towards Cow on up north, as well as DES, that is, of course, Destroyer Esports, and BFM in that small little area as well. That could be the first contestation. That could be the first area where we might be looking on forward towards some fights.
Probably that thing might as well just happen out in this one. We'll have to see how that, if that happens, how it just happens. But as we can see, LS is onto the back end side of Cave, H2E on Kampong, FS onto his head, but we hear some gunshots that probably might be happening on the northern area of Paradise, because there's a lot of teams out there. But look at this. Fights have already started, and Zarar might be in a bit of trouble, but will this grenade actually hit Darikari? That's going to be one of the questions. All right, well, Zigzag comes onto the back end side. The grenade was a bit short, but the trades did arrive. DS Emmer's down, but here Professor needs a revival. The revival will come up soon, but Emmer might be a different story.
Exactly. For now, Destroyer Esports certainly bringing in that early aggression, but Zarar were not that back or not that far behind to retaliate. And with that, of course, Professor has been healed. So Zigzag has been able to keep all 4 members alive. But with that, of course, talk about Destroyer, they have not yet been able to reach towards Emmer.
No.
And now the aggression that is being brought on down towards Zarar is certainly forcing DES to fall back.
Zigzag's angry. Look at this. How dare you knock me?
Yep.
He's angry for sure. He just wants that kill. Daddy Kari is in a bit of a trouble as Professor just moves forward, and there it is. 2 players are down. Now Destroyers will have to see what can the players Raman Jelani and Wilgax are onto the other side. Will they come here, or will they move on to the back end side area? That's the question.
Perfect. First blood coming in. Rivalry. That was a revenge kill coming in, because Professor was the one who was knocked down from the side of Zarar, and he was the one who was able to confirm that kill for himself. And of course, with that, Emmer is also down. There's no way Destroyer is going to be able to revive him, and that means that, well, Destroyer right off the bat have lost 2 members of their team right off the bat. With that, of course, they're going to have to take a backsided approach towards the entirety of this, and this is where we look at Destroyer Esports, Vilgax right here, along with the Jillian, that are going to have to rush towards a different compound altogether and find themselves a decent loot. As of now, they've got a level 3 bag, which is looking really good for Jillian, but, well, apart from that, nothing more. Nothing more to offer, apart from move on down towards Knockout. Now, this team is also in the same region. As you look on down towards the up, that is the north of the map, you've got Cow region, where indeed you look at Observe from Knockout as well as the other player. They're all there. BFM is also there. Zarar is where we just noticed the team that was able to bring in the first blood in this game, and Destroyer moving on down towards BFM. Now, BFM already have all 4 members of their team alive. DES might be in a bit of a tricky situation.
Yeah, that is true. They might be in a bit of a tricky situation, as we can just see this one. Camp Alpha Island, meanwhile, there's just one team out there, that's GHAZI, and the players of GHAZI just onto the island of Camp Alpha, and they will be in a really good position, because you see the circle, I mean, Ruins, Camp Alpha, these prime areas are empty. Obviously, there are people in the boot camp area, but the thing is, the circle might just come down just a bit. I mean, it might just be in the central lines, and if it becomes a water-ish circle,
right,
I'll be really happy.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, you talk about the center side, we have PES, and on that, never mind that conversation, because Zarar has pushed on 4th, and they've made their way down towards Knockout. Now, these were the 3 teams that we had initially noticed. They were the ones who were bringing down towards, and with that, Zarar bringing in the early aggression once again.
Whoa.
Another Knockout, and wow, what a spray. What a spray. I mean, Knockout getting knocked out right off the bat. 1 player down.
Wait, is Zarar angry on the lobby? What are the players doing?
They
took down 2 players. Yep. Now they are going for another team. How is Zarar playing right? Like, what's in their mind? Like, they just want kills and kills and kills and kills. I mean, they have started really good. All the eliminations that have happened are just from Zarar. It's from Zarar only. Like,
yep.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. I mean, with that, of course, Knockout taking big damage right here because, of course, this is a team that has showcased some early wonderful plays through day number 1, but move on down towards day number 3. This is where things are not looking in their favor. But again, you talk about the leaderboard itself. Knockout has been able to get themselves up, and that is looking really phenomenal. But now, move on the conversation down towards PES. Now, PES could very well be able to get themselves going against N2D for the moment, but they are in the open, so of course, they would probably want to think twice or thrice before they even end up bringing any early aggression down towards N2Z because, well, N2D certainly have the compound for themselves. The camp is in their favor, and that is going to be able to, of course, support them.
Well, N2D is on to the good area for themselves if they are seeing. But, well, we have Khatir here, and we know what he was doing in the previous game, obviously being an MVP for the previous game. And so we will have to see what NFP does in this one. Obviously, they want to continue the momentum of their previous win in this particular game. But they have NES right next to them. Previous game also, it was a rivalry that was going on, NES versus N2D. NFP, sorry, that was something that was happening. Airdrop number 1, meanwhile, has a Groza. A really good weapon if you want to play just in the likes of a map of Sanhok.
Absolutely, because you need that dominating force, and for that dominating force, the gun is certainly going to be the most crucial element for your culinary skills, and that is exactly where Groza is being brought down towards this map. And for that, well, we'll see as to what team is going to be able to pick that up. But talk conversation moving down towards NFP. I mean, yes, Khatar, he was the man. And he was the one who was delivering shots left, right, and center. But right now, they have themselves, NFP, the entire team, have themselves set up in a really, really good position. And they certainly seem to have some sort of an information down towards NES. And as Ocean just mentioned, NFP as well as NES have a little bit of a rivalry going on from the previous game itself. Now move on down towards Tokmok onto the northern side of the map. Finally, we see Knockout bringing in a little bit of a rotation. But Destroyer is setting themselves right there. Zarar is certainly making that wonderful play as well. And that could be another area where contention, where fights could be noticed because Zarar has already picked up fights against Destroyer and Knockout could just be stepping into that one.
I mean, probably we'll have to see, how that fight, if it happens again, how it goes. Right. BFM is also out there right onto the gate sides of the circles. That's only one of the things. Team GHAZI is inside the circle. I mean, that island, they still have the contestation of that island, so they'll be having a good area. C-Force players, they are onto the ruin side. Ruins previously it was empty, but now they have a good area for themselves in that circle. And you can see Pioneer, that's where TS was, Team Sonos. They are trying to make their way to the central lines of the circle, but that's where PES can outshine. Like PES from this area, they can have both, all Camp Alphas locations, boot camps players, and obviously Ruins players. So they will be having a proper area, like a proper lookout for those three directions. But Zarar, they are in paradise.
Oh yes, but Zarar has reached paradise with all 4 players and Knockout right here, getting themselves set up, getting themselves
Look at Zigzag. Look at Zigzag. He was just
neat.
Zigzag was just lying down, just moving after lying down. They were just doing one thing, and that was funny. Right.
Oh yes, but yes, with that the conversation certainly is that will Zarar get the information for Knockout is also in Paradise Resort, and again Knockout is not making any noise whatsoever. They have, as soon as they found or rather heard those audio cues, they have just gotten themselves absolutely crouched or prone down. And again, the conversation could very well work in their favor if they're able to knock out the team of Zarar, which again, keep in mind, is the team that brought in the early wonderful First Blood, alongside which has been dominating since then.
Yeah, the fights still happen in the early stages. But, well, we are back to boot camps area where N2D might as well take over fight against BFM. We can see the players onto the triple warehouse area of BFM, and N2D still having the main area for themselves onto the boot camp. Well, NES is moving up forward, and Maxi goes down by H2E's Hacker. So that's where the fights are just, breaking apart onto the backside of Query is where we can see this is happening. I mean, saving your teammate, yeah, if you want to do that, you can, but going out in the open might be a bad thing. That's what Erangel actually thought, and he is actually asking Emma to do that. But all right, one goes down. That was a good one. He should be... Oh, that was perfect. That was perfect. That was perfect. I thought that if he continues to spray, someone else might just take him down, but that did not happen. Meanwhile, FS Respect takes down LS Believe out in another engagement, and Jigsaw goes down. So again, this time the game is different. It's like the person whose teammate actually gets down first, that team actually tries to eliminate the other team.
Absolutely, because this worked perfectly in their favor, in NES's favor, which is Northeast Sports. And indeed, when you talk about Maxi was up on top on the hill, for H2E, they had him in her crosshairs. And as soon as he brought them down, well, H2E thought that the entire team might just be up above on that mountain, but NES had already made the rotation. 2 of the team members, that is Snow as well as Avenger OP, had already moved on down towards the compound of H2E. That H2E completely outlooked and BFM were not able to even get any information on. With that, H2E taken 2 losses from their team, and right now they've only got Ati and Dread who are alive. And again, they have Maxi, who has been revived, but Emmer from NES has been knocked down. Now, H2E certainly knows that Emmer was knocked down onto his right, and they know that the previous knock came on down towards NES. Maxi, who was up towards the left-hand side of that mountain. So, Dread for now is only keeping his crosshairs and information peaked down towards the 2 players that he knows where they're at.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Emmer still needs up that revive right now. It's kind of a thing. Maxi did get one, but now it's Emerson. So it's Maxi's time to return the favor, but can he or will he be able to do? I think no, probably, because it's going to be really tricky, really difficult, and I don't know how can this happen. Clock is ticking. Clock is ticking on your teammate. Plus, he's outside the circle. He's going to have that circle's damage as well. And Maxi, he's spotted and he's vulnerable. Even if he does not want to go for a revive, if he gets out, he goes down again.
Exactly. I mean, on the other side, of course, you talk about North Esports other players. Where are they at? And where are the utilities coming in from Maxi? Maxi has no utilities, or is he choosing to not use them? Is a different conversation altogether. But with that, of course, H2E, that's what I was asking. Where are the other players of NES? And there it is. That is the grenade that was chucked in from the other side of course, NES. And Avenger OP bringing in a wonderful kill for the team. And they've got the information. The only man remaining for H2E is now Snow. And that will not...
It's Ati, yeah. And Max did get up a good revive for himself, and the first hit is just actually popped up, and now it's the upside down. Ati's the last one surviving. NES has actually taken them by all 4 sides, so now it comes down to one thing. Clock is ticking when he goes down, and the clock just stopped on him.
Absolutely. With that, NES is the one moving away from this compound with all 4 members alive. And again, you talk about the early aggression that was brought in from the side of H2E. Just backfired.
That grenade. I mean, I was thinking, will he peek? Will he not? Will he peek? Will he not? And then there's boom, and he's just down the next second.
Exactly. I mean, that's the conversation that was going on in my head as well. That yes, we know we're looking at this player who is keeping his crosshairs towards Maxi. But dude, we know that in the compound there are already 2 more players of NES. And where are they? And that's exactly the point where the grenade was locked in, and what a beautiful finish that was in favor of course, NES. But move the conversation down towards N2D, who have had this compound for the longest time, and now Zarar has moved in along with BFM up north of this compound, which is of course going to be boot camped, and this could be tricky for the side of N2D. N2D certainly keeping themselves, Batra and Zagan, very, very far apart within the compound itself, and Zarar on the other side have at least 2-man squad set up, and from the looks of it, Myth is certainly trying to get some information down towards BFM, on towards the uphill.
I would be alarmed if I'm, against Team Zarar right now. But, well, DES, all right, Jelani, a good revive just coming in. They were only 2-man squad, and that also was because of that one team only. All right, so the information is being given. What's happening? All right, so you get turned into a crate, my friend. That's something. Well, Knockouts upset did go down right now, and now Zagan. I want to see what Zagan does in this situation. N2D, they have a good area. Look at this. 2 players are in the compound, in the warehouse, sorry. 1 player is just out there taking a TPP. He might as well just go for the location of the players if they spot, and if someone from Team Zarar is out in the open, they will be instantly turned into a crate. And I think now Zagan knows. Now Zagan knows exactly where he saw someone.
Absolutely. Zagan certainly has the information. He's going to relay it to his teammates. And with that, there is no information being shared across towards the side of Zarar. And Zalem was in the crosshairs. Now, conversation is going to be if N2D is going to be able to keep the trigger discipline, or are they going to be able to bring that into their favor. Of course, the conversation has to be relayed within the team itself. And of course, you talk about Zarar. They had the crosshairs down towards BFM. They have not been able to, thus far, bring any knocks or any damage. But we know that this team is very dominating once they get the information, and that's exactly what we could be noticing. But BFM on the other side has a complete different outlook as they move on down towards DES. But with that, Zagan taking the early aggression. That is from NTD's side, and Zarar Professor being the one in front of the crosshairs.
Well, now they know. Now they know that there's an uninvited guest, and now they want to take up a fight against them. And now N2D will be looking really ready. But the thing is, will it backbite them? Because now the circle's just moving off. We were talking about the circle win the water lines, right? And that's what the circle is. So that's one of the most important things. Team GHAZI is in a really, really, really good spot because they have, like, what, 70% of the circle for themselves onto that island. That's one of the most important things. So many teams from boot camp to the ruins, they have to make it inside the circle. Now comes the challenging times for each and every team. How will you cross the water lines? How will you cross the other areas? Will you take up on this race to get inside the circle, and how will you do that?
Absolutely, and with that, Zerar certainly making that early rotation and getting themselves out of that compound, even though they don't know, they had the information that there was another team that was within the compound and were trying to bring them down. This is a very interesting turn of events where indeed Zerar could be in an uphill battle, because even though they have made that early rotation, they are out in the open, and N2D certainly making Bacha right here, being the Bacha for his team, certainly making all of that information count and bringing in that early domination. But of course, he has to keep in mind that right now, he has to make his push as well. And again, that is, I believe, what Zerar was counting on. They wanted to get themselves up on top of the hill, and then they would probably want to retaliate because they had the information that Entity is still in the compound, along with, of course, BFM.
Exactly, but right now, the thing is, Zerar, also the players are spotted, and now Entity somehow they will have to, take at least, if they take one player down again, then they will, then the players of Team Zerar might be in a lot of trouble, because then the time will be like the circle will be moving up forward after a while, and then now it's gonna be a bit tricky for the players of Team Zerar.
Absolutely, and with that, BFM certainly making that rotation down towards the circle itself. They have gotten a knock, but they have also destroyed another last player remaining for Destroyer, I believe. And with that, BFM certainly looking in control, but N2D, as they were making the rotation, has been caught off guard from BFM. And on that, of course, we move on down towards the conversation of Lost Esports. They are trying to certainly push on along towards the side of C4 and getting themselves inside the circle. With that, Team Stoner getting eliminated back into the lobby.
Yeah, that is true. But on to the other side, we'll have to see how the situations just go down, as Entity, they have spotted on the players of BFM as well. And now comes the swimming race as well. I mean, if you need to cross this area, you got to swim. And if you're swimming, you cannot use gun. Your enemies can actually use that against you, and they would love to. Everyone would be enjoying those kills, those crates inside the water area, and everyone would want to go for that one. Well, Sky Kian takes down Jeanette, and Believe goes down as well by Kian. One single spray can actually take two players down. That was brilliant. Myth, low-toss grenade, alright, a high-toss grenade right now, and he is going to be, just trying to go for the confirmation of that kill, but for how long can he just take it down? He has an AKM as well, and a QBZ. Meanwhile, Hunter takes down Toxic Whitey, and Zerar zigzag again. So now this is where the Zerar is going to be wasting out, and Iconic hasn't spotted. He is down to a sliver of HP. This will be really, really bad for him.
Absolutely, this is not looking good for Iconic, where Lost Esports certainly might be able to lose. It seems like they might lose another player, but on the side, of course, Lost Esports Believe on the right-hand side of NFP's Healthy is already knocked, and there's no way Believe can get a revive. Along with that, of course, this is just working perfectly in NFP's favor, where knockouts are coming in from the side, and Lost Esports push has turned against them. There's another knock coming in, and with that, a confirmation of the kill, and Healthy is in control of this push. With that, Lost Esports not looking too confident, as, of course, you talk about NFP, they also have 2 members down.
Well, yes, they do, but now Ellis Smith, he has to stay here. If he goes out in the open, that will be a really bad thing. Plus, now the circle is going to be a bad thing for him. Look at this. Has to go 300 meters, and now it's going to be a tricky affair. The circle once again starts, and he gets spotted. All right, Lost Esports do get eliminated on the 12th position. 11 teams, 28 players alive in the situation. Oh, Tyrant low on the HP, but still high on morale right now.
Absolutely, and that is, of course, Freestyle Esports, and they are certainly making that rotation for themselves, as you were mentioning. But along with that, what are we looking at here, which is, of course, Freestyle. Some of the players have already made on down towards the other side, and they are bringing in domination across the river, as one of their players is still making a rotation. On that side, of course, you move on down towards Redstone. Redstone is looking neat, but they only have 2 men surviving for now, and they have to cross the river, and along with that, keep the information all for themselves. On the other side, of course, you look at PES. Well, PES is already set up. C4 is already set up on the other side, and that's going to be a very difficult rotation to get into the circle.
Well, a good off angle by Zulkar does take down one, but now the circle is going to be forcing him to go out of this area. Has to first hits will be popping up one right now, but he should be moving as well. And now the revival should be coming in from a few sides, and now Respect goes down, as well as Archive wants to secure that kill for himself, but now he's getting taken down, and Zulkar takes down one, but the circle still not helping Zulkar. FS might be in a lot of trouble. Meanwhile, Team GHAZI is still enjoying a good area inside the circle, but now the circle shifts towards BFM side. Girl from low on HP again. The zone has been troubling a lot of players.
Oh, yes, certainly it has been, Ocean. There's no question about it. I mean, GHAZI is the only one team that has had this wonderful rotation work in their favor. Since the start of the game itself, they have had a perfect clean game. But right now, of course, it is BFM that could very well be contesting them. And on the other side, of course, you talk about PES. They've already got 1 player knocked, 1 player killed, and there are only 2 men surviving. But with that, there's no stopping the aggression coming in from Portal Esports. They are reviving Murtaz Plaza right here and also bringing in dominating plays and kills. He's got the information left as well as on through the right. He has to make the push is what he knows. The circle is of course there to approach, but how exactly is he going to be defining this momentum? But along with that, of course, Mom2 on to the back end, bringing in a bit more of a fire.
Well, right now Hunter has to spot up a few players, and look at this, Mom2 has been spotted as well. But can Mom2, just come out of that equation? That's going to be one of the most important questions. Murtaza on to the other side as well, and now comes down the major thing. We are down to 5 teams, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and the circle is playing mind games. It's still out there. Placement takes another one, down to 4 teams, 12 people remaining. Spotted, shot it, taken down. Yes or no? All right, one goes down by GHAZI Khan, but can they steal the kill? That's important. Gulfam, can you go and steal that kill? That is what they are looking for, and yes, there it is. That's going to make GHAZI's players angry, but no! Ahmed takes down one. These two players are wreaking havoc right now. Can they take another one down? Yes, they do. Circles on to the other side. Gunpowder and skill is being shown to its perfection. They might as well reduce this team to 2-man squad, but the most important thing is they don't have a first aid. Those 10 bandages are the only things, and Gulfam is the last one surviving. Move2, can you take the last play down as well from C4? The zone is not his friend. He goes down. BFM might as well just win this game. I mean, look at this. Gulfam has to apply the bandages. Then he has to finish down one player. Shari onto the other side against Jan and Wazir. All right, the game has changed its pace, and now it's in the favor of BFM probably.
Absolutely, certainly looks like the case, and of course with that, of course, BFM certainly in control and will be able to contest this fight against GHAZI. That was a wonderful kill coming in from PS as he went down. But again, you talk about C4 Gulfam, he has a wonderful skill. He was able to bring down 2 of those players very easily, convincingly, no questions asked, and with that, Team GHAZI that was looking so confident have been brought down to 2 players. So of course this conversation with 3 teams alive moves on towards 2v3v1 situation, and in that it is quite a dirty affair as to where exactly will BFM be approaching. Rather, BFM have all 4 players alive, and GHAZI will be in a tough spot.
I want to see what Gulfam does. I mean, he's the lone survivor. The solo survivor has 3 kills, but his location is compromised from the right-hand side. He cannot peek from this one area. It might be a bad affair. Terminator is just onto that direction, but now the circle is not going to help him, and now he has to move up forward. He gets spotted. He might as well just get taken down, but if he just goes for a prone, he might be saved. Has 1 first aid, but what is happening? He knows the fights are happening onto the other side, and now Terminator is coming up onto this direction as well. GHAZI Jan is the last one surviving. Can he take that down at least one player? No, he does not. It's a 1v3. BFM versus C4 Gulfam as he's low on his HP, but he takes down 1 player. It's a 1v2, but he has to be safe. Low on HP. BFM takes this win.
What a wonderful rotation, what a wonderful play, and BFM the one that will be getting the chicken dinner from the second game. That was just perfect, absolute perfect annihilation. I mean, again, you have to thank GHAZI for that play, because again, GHAZI was the one, he was the one who brought GHAZI's 2 player down. I mean, that was just
Gulfam.
Gulfam was the one.
Gulfam.
C4, it was Gulfam who made GHAZI's 2 player knockdown, and that made a perfect win for, of course, the BFM side.
I mean, see, BFM, they won the game, but C4 Gulfam was looking like a one-man army.
True.
When it was needed, his team would have been out at 5th position. He brought his team to 2nd position with good kills for the team and for himself. Amazing player, amazing player.
No conversation about it, no question about it, because again, you talk about the way that approach was made. I mean, of course, you talk about GHAZI, they were the king of the hill.
Yeah.
Yet, the kind of crosshair placement, the kind of skill, and just so precise, was able to bring down knock 1, knock 2, and GHAZI's down 2 players already. Of course, C4 had all of it working in their favor. On the other side, of course, was BFM, but the way that rotation worked out for BFM, it was an early rotation, and that is all that was in favor of them. But GG's indeed to this one lad of C4, I would say. All thanks to him.
Exactly. There's just one thing that I would just, keep up the emphasis on back-to-back, and it's just one thing, and that is GHAZI, they held the circle really good.
True.
Full points for that. If just one thing. BFM held the game, incredible. But this one lad, he held the fights.
He certainly did. With that, let's move on to the most valuable player from this game and find out who goes and who takes this MVP slot from this game.
Alright, it's Professor from Zerar. 5 kills, 609 damage coming up from this individual. 1 assist and 306 healing. 17 minutes, so not a big survival time number, but Zerar, we know what this team did right off the bat.
Oh yes, they certainly were the ones who brought in the first blood, as well as not only that, but they moved on along after that first blood as well, and kept on bringing players down from one team and then the next. It was just perfect. I mean, there was just perfect retaliation, so to say, right? It was a perfect retaliation coming in from Professor's side from, of course, the side of Zarar, and that was all thanks to, so to say, DES. That was Destroyer Esports.
That is true, that is true, that is true. But you know, one player's good. I want to see more that actually had an impact on this game.
Absolutely. With that, let's move on and have a look at the top players from today's game. Of course, Zarar, Professor getting those 5 kills within a matter of 17 minutes.
Wow.
But move on to C4 Gulfin. What a player, what a play.
3 kills, 781 damage, 21 plus minutes of survival time. I mean, it's one thing. No one from the winner chicken dinner team is out here. That just means one thing, that all the players were playing in a really synergistic manner, you can just say.
True, but then again, you talk about GHAZI, right off the bat, they were on the western side of the entire map. They were all by themselves.
They had the area already.
They had the area, but all by themselves. There was no damage coming in. There was no kill coming in their favor. They were just there, living and chilling all by themselves. But GG's indeed to this team for the way they played was absolutely phenomenal. But with that, let's also talk about the summary of this entire game. And in that, we also have to talk about match ranking, where indeed you have BFM that is taking the chicken dinner.
Exactly. 10 kills coming down for them, 25 total points coming down. C4 Gaming, 7 kills coming for this team. Team GHAZI, 4, and then 4. So, freestyle, talking about Zarar, they had 6 kills each. But you know, obviously, the top 5 contestation was a bit harder, given the fact the circle. The best thing was Circle when it actually, you know, went out of the boot camp and onto the other island. Everyone had to swim, everyone had to go there. That changed everything in this game.
Absolutely, and you had already called it out, Ocean, actually. I mean, you had initially already called it out, and that was just it. The way the Circle played these players to get into early aggression, to get into dominating positions, was just the one that dominated this entire game on Sanhok.
Exactly. That did happen. Meanwhile, Knockout did not get any kill in this particular match, and obviously the other teams as well onto the 14th and the 15th marker. That's one thing, but well, you know, it was an incredible game.
It certainly was. With that, of course, let's bring on the open moments and go through the recap of the entire domination that was showcased from all of these teams today. And right off the bat, of course, it was Professor that was bringing in that early first blood.
Yeah, I mean, if someone of you is joining us right now, I want to tell you that Professor was really angry. Someone did actually knock him down, and then he started wiping out players and players and players, and that was incredible, the way Professor played this game. But well, this moment, this just changed everything. We never expected that to happen.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, this knockout player coming on down towards Destroyers was just phenomenal. He was trying to get the position, as well as he was like, dude, help me, please, knock me out. He dropped down, but with that, of course, you move on the conversation towards NFP and the way this team played and the rotation not working in their favor. Also, same went for FS, but C4, they were already on the other side. But the way C4 players were knocked down because of their positioning was A-okay, but that one player who was able to sustain C4 till the final circle was just phenomenal. And right here, of course, we're looking at Murtaz, who was from PES, and Murtaz, of course, did bring in a few more kills for his team as he was knocked down. And again, I mean, this was absolutely fair because the other teams had that uphill advantage.
That is true, and that advantage is something that, you know, just costed, that would have made their game or broken their game, and that kind of just, you know, took the game away. I mean, Ahmed had I would say Gulfam had Ahmed as well as an assist. The game might have been just a bit different, but right now, I mean, still a really good effort.
Very good effort indeed from C4 side. There's no question about it. But the way the entirety of the lobby has played, from PES to the way Destroyers played, well, they were knocked out because of their early aggression, and that probably was not necessary because they made Professor very angry from the game, from the get-go itself. But boy, oh boy, I mean, all the teams, they are standing out. Knockout standing out. Of course, we've talked about RS. They've stood out as well in the first game as well as this one. All of the lobby, the entire teams, they are bringing in that dominating play. But also the conversation is, well, what can we expect as we move on along? Because they still have 2 more games remaining.
That is true. That is totally true.
Well, with that, we're going to go on a very short break. Stick around. We're going to be right back. Hello and welcome to PUBG Mobile Club Open Spring Split. This is the Pakistan region that we're in, and indeed day number 3 where Group A have gone against Group B in 2 matches. Now we move on to the third one where Miramar is going to be up next, but it is of course all thanks to, well, Reno 5 Pro. And to power up our games once again, it is going to be Ocean joining me on the desk. And dude, Miramar, of course, it is going to be a slow start, but a dominating play through and through.
Exactly. It's going to be a slow start, that's one thing, but then after that when things just start picking up the pace and everything just starts going on in its own fashion. When people start understanding the code of Miramar and when they start cracking the code of Miramar, they get to understand what they have to do right, what they have to do, in the way to get them to a chicken dinner or something, and that's the most important thing. I still remember the first days Miramar. I want to see something like that.
Absolutely.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere is what we're expecting again. And first day it was H2E bringing in a wonderful chicken dinner for themselves. But indeed, I mean, you talk about the way Miramar games have been thus far. They have been a bit dominating force with every single lobby that we've seen thus far. And right now, of course, you talk about PES, you talk about Knockout, you talk about, well, North Esports. They're all a dominating force. With that, Zarar, the way they've approached all of these games, I do want to look forward to if they will be able to sustain themselves towards the final game or the final circle itself, right?
I mean, we all do want to look forward, to what is going to happen, how is it going to happen, if it does happen really soon or, something like that. So that's one of the things. But the most important thing, that we have to just get up and look forward to is, first of all, where the flight path will be. Suppose if it's a proper southern flight path, then teams that have to go to the northern side will just, falter a bit. If it's a northern flight path, teams onto the southern side will have to falter a bit. If it's a really, good flight path, then we kind of expect a really good start.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm hoping for these teams' sake that they get a comfortable circle. But
hope is a dangerous thing, my friend.
Especially when you talk about PUBG Mobile, and Battle Royale just makes things that much more fierce. There's no conversation about it. But before we move into the game, let's also talk about the overall standings thus far and talk about those rankings. Well, PUBG Esports is certainly up on top at 79 points, but the Grounders have been pushed down for now.
Yeah, they are onto the second. But obviously, the thing is that they have played just 4 matches. So
they're not even playing today.
Yeah, once they come back, they would love to, just move up forward. That's going to be one of the things. But if you're just moving up again and again, so H2E, Arcadians, Retribution X, they are looking up pretty decent. I mean, if they have back-to-back good games, they can obviously come back. But the thing is, right now only H2E is playing and Freestyle is playing, so these teams still have a chance. Talking about other teams, GHAZI, Lost Esports, they need to, they need to change up their game. They need to step up to the competition because, again, back-to-back good games are the only way you can be in like the top contenders right now.
Absolutely. No conversation about that can be going against, because again, I mean, you have to not only work towards the placement points, but have to work towards a little bit of kills as well. And talk about Team Stoner. Well, Team Stoners, well, they've been at the end of the leaderboard for some time now, even though today's games have been working in their favor slowly and steadily, but they do need to get a really good game to be able to, get back into the leaderboard itself, because again, this is the regional. And again, you talk about the way the regional is going to be from the group stages. It is looking a little difficult, for so many of these teams that are at the bottom of the leaderboard.
Not exactly difficult, I would say, but still, there's one thing, that how the players want to perform. It obviously is a reflection of how they perform by the end of the game.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things. If you make mistakes, obviously it will look difficult for you. If you're not making mistakes, if you're in top 3 or something, people always have that thing in mind. It's an easy game. We are looking good and all those things. It's mentality.
Well, it is. But with that, of course, let's get into match number 3 on day number 3. That is going to be on Erangel, and the flight path is on our screens.
Miramar. So, Puerto Parásito to lack of is where we are right now, and
match number 3, day number 3.
And you said?
Miramar.
Okay, well, I don't know. Well, Picaro, Los Leones, Puerto Parásito, Impala, those are going to be good areas as well. Graveyard, San Martin, Hassan, Del Patron, Greater Fields, Water Treatment, La Cobreria are going to be good areas as well. El Azhar onto the other side if players want to go. That's going to be one thing. So, let's see where and how the players actually just, start up their day with, and if the circle's their friend or not.
Absolutely. With that, of course, right off the bat, we're looking at H2E taking an early exit from the plane itself. And of course, with that, we've got Freestyle as well as Lost Esports. They are still in the plane, but looking on towards NES, that is North Esports, and BFM. They have also moved on down towards the southwestern side of the map for now, and they might be making their way down towards maybe even... let's actually see, because again, when you talk about this southern part of the map, there aren't a lot many places that these teams could go on down towards, perhaps the prison, but that's again going to be a bit too far of a region to contest for.
That's going to be totally true. Puerto Parásito, the backside of that is where BFM is just dropping down. H2E's Hacker is onto the other side as well, but I mean, is that an individual or a whole team that's going to? Yeah, all right. So that's a whole team that's going on to the southern side of Lost Lunes. Probably might as well just go to Lost Seagulls. That sounds like a good area because no team actually goes to the southern island for some reason. I don't know why. And the circle. All right. So Monte Nuevo is a good area in the circle. If you just look at like a good open area, that's where Monte Nuevo just comes down to. And from Picaro, it's like proper open area. You can just contest the hills onto the backside of Picaro, and you can like have like proper area for your game.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, PES being on the point with that circle working in their favor. The only thing is how exactly are the rotations going to work out, or they're probably going to stick on to the first drop location itself. With that, move the conversation towards Redstone PK. This is Fire right now, and we have Ice, who is still up in the air. Where exactly is he at? No idea. Has he gone to a completely different location altogether? Again, speculation as of now, but you talk about Fire. He is getting himself a Tommy, and he's going to move on down towards a UMP and get himself acclimated with the guns that he's got in front of him. Move on down towards Zarar, Myth, Professor. They're all in that one car and getting themselves out of that open area towards the compound to get that initial loot set up for themselves.
Yeah, NES is also just moving up right now. 2 minutes on the clock when the circles is going to be forming up. 2.5 minutes have passed by right now. That's one thing. I'm going to talk about the map of Miramar. Obviously, you know, we have seen a few DMR users. We have seen a few bold action users. Sometimes people just like to go with M4 6 times and all those things. So it just comes down to what your personal preference is and how you want to play with those. Sometimes I've seen a few players using Thompson and guns like Uzi as well. If you want to just go for this one. And the first day, I think it was South Asia Wildcard or something. I've seen a few players using shotguns as well, just for their own usage. So things like that. Whatever suits your boat, you want to start it up. You want to start your day with that one, and then slowly and steadily, maybe you contest someone, you get an M249 from them, and you just rock the lobby.
Exactly.
VSS
and VSS also being used right here from Knockout Ted. And along with that, of course, we do see Knockout getting themselves all acclimated to this position, but they seem to be making a run for another compound altogether, and they are all out in the open for now. Again, it is a pretty big map. There's no contestation about that, thus implying that there aren't going to be that many fights in the initial stages. Also, we just noticed the map that so many of these teams have found themselves a decent area that is a little far away from all the other teams. So early contestations is going to be a little on the low-key slow pace. But for now, of course, talking about the guns and the placements as well, all the teams are looking pretty comfortable with the positioning. But right now, it certainly is Knockout looking on to perhaps getting themselves a vehicle. That is going to be the most essential, the crux of being a good team on Miramar. You need to have a good vehicle control, and not only just one, perhaps 3 is the minimum for one team, I would say.
That is true. That is true. But now, if we are just, looking forward, there are a few teams, just like we saw, that are not inside the circle right now. So if they have to just, move inside the circle for themselves, they'll have to do it right now. We are less than, 6 seconds on the clock with the circle just, will be forming up and starting up, obviously. So first zone, not a lot of damage. But in Miramar, if you're using, everyone knows buggies are a bad luck in Miramar. So that's just one thing. And all right, C4, they are playing with just 3-man squad.
Absolutely, and right here we see Mustafa, who was, of course, from C4, having had a really, really good...
Well, Gulfarm's not playing.
Exactly.
And that lad had a really good game previously, and...
Yep.
I don't know, why is he not in the lobby right now?
Well, GG's to the team as well, because the way they've showcased that domination in the previous game, we can expect and hope that the man of the hour will be back into the team playing along with C4 and their clan. But move on towards Knockout, they are still contesting and running slowly and steadily. 2 of the members certainly have themselves a vehicle control, and 2 others are still early rotations and getting themselves the loot that they possibly can. Because again, we saw a VSS being picked up by one of the players. We see a Venom being used by another player from GHAZI right here, and that again is going to be an interesting turn of events. Because again, when you talk about the gun, yes, it is decent, but in the long range with .545, not really the kind of gun that you would probably want to be controlling. But eventually, again, all of these teams right now, and with that, GHAZI is going to, of course, also try and get themselves a better loot, hopefully.
That is true. But now, as the players will be looking forward to, you can see a few players just 100 meters away from the circle. They'll just, make their way easily. FS Zulka. So, FS, the first game was really good the way these players just started. I still remember. I mean, if it's talking about Zulkar and the team and PES as well. So, Smile, it was GG's to this individual lad as well, the way this player was playing the first game or something. But still now, no one has contested Monte Nuevo. It's still just out there, just if someone wants to go for this.
Exactly, it certainly is up for grabs as of now, and with that, of course, as you talk about it, Destroy certainly seems to be making their way down towards Montenuevo, and along with that, you talk about H2E, they have certainly made their way down onto the south of the map, down towards Los Higos, but they do need to start talking and working towards their rotation. The sooner they get control of vehicles, the better off, because again, I mean, it is very close. They're very, very close to the circle for now, that is, for now. But you talk about up north, it is the team of NFP. NFP also needs to get out of that area, the sooner the better, because again, when it comes to rotation for them though, it is going to be no contestation at all as they make that rotation. But talk about rotations coming in down towards FS from Junkyard side, as well as another team that is right next to them. This is where I believe fights could also take place, alongside which, of course, PES as well as N2D are making those rotations down towards Monte. And the conversation is going to be, are they going to be able to get themselves a compound and hold on that ground, or will they be pushing on forth right now?
That is true. BFM, meanwhile, as you can see from the backsides of Puerto Parazo, the players are just starting to move forward. H2E, again, they were on to the southern side. That island that we were saying always stays abandoned. They have a good opening from Valdemar where they can just get inside the circle. That's true. DES is going to go to Montenuevo, and obviously LS is going to be following them back from El Pozo's side. But that's a different story. We still have to see where the first skirmishes actually happen.
Well, again, I mean, talk about early skirmishes, indeed, but talk about NFP. I mean, they seem to be having a fight against the circle itself. They are moving away from the circle and into the northernmost part of the region itself.
They're going for a really late rotation.
Late rotation, yes, a very, very long rotation, which is, again, an interesting conversation to be had. But all right, let's just keep an eye out for that team and see that what exactly is going to work out for them. Because, again, maybe they're just planning on being the last team that will be pushing on with the circle itself, and for that they do want to have the early rotations, or rather the early contestations on the map taken care of by other teams. And talking about early contestation, we are of course looking at PES as well as N2D and RS. That is going to be an interesting turn of events, but for now there aren't that many teams that are very, very close to start a fight for now.
Somehow, I would just say, so many teams making their way inside the circle. It's actually blocking all the other teams that are going for late rotation. That's going to block a lot of teams' areas. All right, so first year drop already has an AWM. I want to see if a player, if someone actually gets it, because it is going to be a really, really, really important weapon for circles like this. See, from one level, you get so much of an open area. If you see someone, you just can't take them down.
Absolutely, and that is going to be so very important, because again, when it comes to this map, it is a sniper haven, but eventually you do want to have the gun to be able to support that. And for that, Knockout right here is certainly trying to get themselves the best of the best loot that they possibly can. Still looking at Ted roaming around with Tommy, which is going to be an interesting turn of events for him. And for that, of course, you've got the circle, and BFM is making a rotation in towards the circle. So is H2E down from south, so that is perfect for them. The only team that is nowhere to be seen is certainly going to be NFM, and that is the approach that they are taking from far up north.
Well, that is true, but right now Chaos players, I mean, that's one thing. Ups are on one side, Drag on to the other, and FSS players, they are also trying to move, and Chaos Noob is also like really close to the teammates, if that's one of the things. But I want to see, how does FSS player just, I mean, where do they want to just park their vehicles and see if that's a really good area. You could see our vehicles just flying.
Yep. That was FS. That was freestyling, of course. That was freestyling all the way through as they made that rotation, and they did not want to contest this compound that is all set up for the players of Knockout as of now. And with that, we are looking at Ted once again, who is getting himself, or rather probably searching for a better helmet, because he's only got level 1 helmet for now, and that of course is something that he would want to change as soon as possible. Move the conversation down towards FS, that was just making a rotation alongside KO, have already spotted players of Lost Esports, as Lost Esports were making a rotation. This could be a bit of a tricky and troublesome situation for the likes of LS, but that's not the case.
LS Iconic takes down the first player down. Still nothing. Still no first blood has been, put up a marker on. But the thing is, now they want to just save their buggies. Alright, that's one thing, but you will be taking down one shot. Did hit him. Another one did hit him. He goes down. Now this might be a bad affair, as there will be the first blood coming down in the hands of Tyrant. Wow.
What was Lost Esports thinking, Iconic? He certainly did bring a little bit of damage for his team against FS, but what was he thinking, trying to reposition reposition the buggy? But eventually, it was a bit of a tricky and weird situation as to what was going on in his mind, honestly. But yeah, the car that was not necessary. To focus on the car or focus on the
I mean,
buggy.
you should not have thought of this. You were in the cover, exactly.
Yes.
You should not have been, greedy for the vehicle. That's. I totally agree with that thing. But now, see, now ball's in the core of FS again. I mean, they know it's like a 4v3 now. If one more player gets knocked down, they can rush, and that is one thing that they would love to do at this moment.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, the way FS is bringing themselves set up for this push is going to be pretty incredible, because we see Tyrant right there, who brought in that first blood, is going to be in the backline, whereas all the other players will probably get themselves acclimated and adjusted to how exactly are they going to be pointing their crosshairs towards, because Believe is on the back end for Lost Esports, and Junaid, as well as the other player, which is going to be Myth from Lost Esports, have themselves set up on this small little house for now.
Yeah, that is true. But now the most important thing is, how are they going to be looking forward to all these things? I mean, look at this. Look at this. They are still trying to spot each other if they can. But, it's still in the ups and downs. And now they are coming with the push. Just like we were discussing about it. Where is the grenade going to go? I sound like it's a good grenade. It does sound like it. But no, the grenade did come out as well. There's going to be a bad one for early. All right. Does the damage, though, on both the directions. A good grenade was out there. But, they were really close to each other. Sulkar was really close to it. But still has 27 bullets. Can he take the damage? No, he does not, and he will finish the job because he has nothing to lose. He goes down, but the damage has been done in the situation. Like, the respect goes down as well. Oh my god, Junaid is taking up a really good fight with his opponents. Believe he is still surviving. It's Ali versus Believe, while Tyrant is on to the other side. Still, it's a different situation. Ali is going to go for this one, but Tyrant now he's arriving. Now he comes down to this area. It's going to be bad for Believe or not. We're going to find out. It's a 1v2. It's a 1v2. Can he take this 1v2? That's going to be a tricky question. And now it's down to 40 bullets again. He has to do something. One good throwable comes down, but he has to go for this hide and seek. It's a cat and mouse chase. This is what they never wanted. Oh, he takes down his own teammate. Junaid goes down with that grenade. Now it's down to one thing, that Ali and his teammate Tyrant will have to take this fight come what may. They are trying to put up a lot of pressure on this individual lad, and Tyrant has to go up, look at that. They can spot that player, but it's a 1v1. It's a 1v1. Can he take him down? No, Tyrant still survives.
What a wonderful play this was coming in from the side, and with that, Lost Esports being sent back into the lobby, the first team to be sent back into the lobby, and with that, what a wonderful turn of events that is. FS certainly staying in the game, but that wonderful turn of events has given information down towards DES, which is of course Destroyer Esports, and they have a little bit of an information down towards the side of FS. Now the conversation moves towards Zarar as they make a push towards KO. KO is out in the open, and one of the players have already been knocked down. So is Myth for Zarar.
I mean, I did just see one thing. Zarar Myth actually had an M24, so he was trying to go with the sniper shots as well for sure. But he might have just missed one or two or something like that. That would have been just a different thing. NES Snow goes down as well. NES Avenger goes down, so NES is in a bit of trouble. Alright, so that was a good area for a revival, and I think the revival will be coming in. GHAZI Khan is using a Win 94.
Yep, that is something that we did notice earlier.
Look at him!
That is just perfect. The way he's using that gun with that approach is beautiful, because he's able to control that. And again, you talk about the gun itself. It's the amount of damage that this gun is providing. You have to be very, very precise. You have to be very, very accurate to be able to get some control over that. But in that fight, this is working in Zarar's favor, because Knockout is out in the open, and Knockout is certainly given a lot of their players away towards the side of GHAZI for now.
Well, that is true, But now the way, I don't know, the fights are supposed to happen, it's just changing a lot of things. Well, Zarar Zigzag again is just moving up forward in the situation. We'll have to see how that, just comes on as BFM is on to the other side of this area. Meanwhile, Upsir already has a grenade, though. Can he or can he not take someone down? The grenade does not do anything, but 5 bandages. It's a tricky and a difficult fight. He goes down as well. KO has been taken down.
KO was in a very wrong position right off the bat, right off the get-go, and that team had to, well, of course, get themselves acclimated better in this position. But with that, the fight moves on along. Zarar is still not done as that fight moved on from KO. They have pushed on along towards BFM. They've got the information, and Zarar Zigzag right here getting himself set up and acclimated to push against the side of course, the team that was in their crosshair. But a conversation now is going to be, will they want to take this fight right off the bat, or will they want to take a backseat approach? But along with that, you talk about the kill feed. You've got PES taking down another player of C4, and looking at the map, we have GHAZI extreme on the eastern side of this map, which is of course going to be troublesome for BFM, because BFM could very well get themselves in a bit of a tricky situation, because Zarar is right in front of them. Zarar has the information of where exactly BFM is set up, and GHAZI, it seems GHAZI has got a very big split approach coming into the circle.
Well, yes, RSI just stops himself down. Now he's going to be enjoying those great loots for themselves. PS Murtaza has spotted down a few players as well. That will be BFM for sure. And now that's on to the other side. C4, I mean, without Gulfam, it kind of seems like they will be missing that player, right? He could have given up a cover in this situation. I mean, Ahmed is the solo one who wants to give up a good cover. But the thing is, now PS Kashif onto the back-end side is trying to spot the other players. But BFM, the quick, the backup that just arrives. I mean, C4 also would have wanted that backup for themselves, but that one player, where is Gulfam? I mean, I'm still going to be missing that individual. Like, why did he not join the lobby? And C4 Gaming just gets eliminated.
Absolutely, and PS is certainly in control. Again, you're talking about an open fight. An open fight is certainly not going to be able to favor the player and the team who are out in the open. There's only smoke ball that they can possibly get. And with that, of course, what a wonderful, wonderful turn of events. Kasuf right here from PES, as well as Momtu bringing in a lot of aggression for the team of PES. And now they have knocked one team, that is, of course, C4. And now they've got their crosshairs set for the likes of BFM. Of which, of course, two of the players they did knock down. They've got the information. Now the only thing is, how exactly is PS going to be approaching this fight?
That is true. PS Momtu is on to the other side. Entities Toxic is also trying to take down players. But Momtu already has 5 kills. Team has 6. And that individual has 5 kills. That's impressive.
Wow, what a wonderful turn of events this has turned out to be. DES on the other side also looking A-okay, but not so good for now. We just noticed that there was another kill coming in from the side of Destroyer, and Destroyer has lost one player. But talk about Team GHAZI, they've got 2 players down. Team Stoners, they've got 2 players down. North Esports also has 2 players down for now. PES, in fact, it's just Momtu from PES who is annihilating this lobby with 6 points to this team. They are rushing in, they are pushing on along the side of BFM, and they will be the one who will probably bring in the early aggression in their favor. But the conversation is going to be, will BFM be able to contest this fight?
Whoa, a good grenade did just go out, but obviously they predicted that grenade, so no one would have been damaged from that one. You can see all the players still surviving. PS Kashif was just going to go and put up a first aid, and now is the matter. Like, both the teams, they are barely inside the circle. For BFM, FS is taking up the fights. For BFM, PES is taking up the fights, and PES is also has to, the team also has to get inside the circle. A few of the players are outside the zone, so that's going to be one of the things that's going to trouble them out. So in this situation, it's going to be tricky, but Tyrant, oh, he almost would have been down, but look at that. TS is also coming from behind.
Wow, that could be troublesome for FS right there. Team Stoner has 2 players alive, and Freestyle has 3 players alive on that compound. And right here, of course, BFM is looking in a very, very tricky situation. Along with that, they also have to keep in mind that all the vehicles that they take in cover of, they are still not blown away. So if there is a lot of gunpowder being thrown on across towards those cars, that will be the end of BFM right there. Even though that was supposed to be the cover might end up being the destruction of the team itself. But with that, move on towards the compound where FS was bringing in annihilation down towards BFM. Well, they have just been joined by Team Stoner, and Team Stoner has already gotten 1 knock coming in from Tyrant, and another knock coming in right here, which seemed like an AFK approach, and an easy kill coming in from the side of FS Tyrant 2.
Well, Tyrant also has 5 kills. Now I want to see what this team does, because this team is looking really good with the approach of Miramar. I mean, previously there used to be one team that owned the Miramar, and now that team is not in this lobby for sure. So that is going to be obviously giving us new domination stories. Look at a good grenade. There it is. It just went out, but well, it did give them 1 kill for sure. Now it's Hunter who's surviving, but for how long can Hunter survive? That's going to be one of the most important questions. I mean, all the 4 players, they are looking on to the other directions, but Hunter might as well just go for a good backstep if he wants to go for this.
Absolutely, and DES looking on to the other side altogether. They still have PES in their crosshairs, and PSS out in the open, which is where PES could be in a little bit of a troublesome situation, because Destroyers certainly have a lot more advantage than PES being out in the open. And of course, with that, grenades are being thrown across from the side of Rafay of DES, and that is a knock coming in for PES, and Destroyer are looking pretty comfortable in the spot for the moment. On the other side, of course, BFM taking a very low-key approach. Hunter right here, he certainly does know that there is an entire team right in front of him, but he is not making any noise. He's not giving any sound cues. All he wants to do is keep his head down and survive for as long as he possibly can.
Alright, well, Narikari is just out here. The helmet is done for, but he wants to take the other players' helmets down for sure. That's what it's looking like right now, but the thing still stays. how much of a damage can he just actually do in the situation? All right, well, just going to go for the smokes and then just going to move forward. Wilgax, you can see a canted site just right next to him. If you want to use it, he can, but obviously would want to go for that scope. Oh, this will look bad. Knock and finish. There it is. Reload comes down. And no one wants to point on him. Now they do. Now they know what's happening, and he has sensed another one. He can take him down as well. He has 8 bullets. He can take one more down. He does. Reloading. Another one's coming. Can he take the team down? Yes, he does. All right, though. What? It was FS Respect from the other side. BFM Hunter is still surviving. Wilgax is the last one. Will he be the demise of the whole team? How is this happening? But no, he goes down. Oh my god.
Wow, I mean, that was just phenomenal play coming in from BFM Hunter, and indeed he was able to almost bring the entire team of Destroyer down, but FS was certainly the one to thank him and also the one that retaliated against his aggression and were the ones to bring him down as well. But with that, of course, BFM getting back sent into the lobby, and on that side, PES that were across the road are out in the open once again as they were in the previous game. This is not looking too good for the side of PES. On the other side, of course, we look at Destroyer. They are getting themselves acclimated and getting those knocked out players revived once again, and on the other side PES is moving away from Destroyer's position. They are going to have to contest for this small little compound that they're rushing on towards, but that is the only approach rather than staying out in the open for now.
All right, well, PS Kashuf, he is just, sitting down here. Well, okay. Now the thing is, NFP has all the players surviving, but all they have to do is just don't overcome it. Well, Sky Khate's grenades were really good, and he actually turns his name into a grenadier. As you can see, he did take down one. And now the thing is, NFP, again, they can go for another chicken. They had the first in the first game, and now they can try in this one as well. But the most important thing is, how will you take the open area fights given the fact you're not inside the circle properly?
Exactly, I mean, that is what has turned out to be when it comes to a Miramar approach, and that too into the final few moments of this game. It is turning out to be an open circle, for which, of course, it is going to be a conversation about PES, because they certainly do have the compound in their favor. The conversation is they have the compound, they have the circle, but they seem to be giving away a lot of information, and their players are being knocked out right off the bat as they enter the compound, and that is not turning into their favor. But on the other side, of course, Northeast Sports capitalizing on this information entirely, and Emma right here bringing in 2 kills for the team and another knock for PES.
Well, 2 players have a really good central area in the circle for themselves, and they are in the center of the zone. That's a really good thing. All they have to do is defend, and these 2 players can defend given the fact their opponents have to come out in the open. Even if it's from that compound to this house, they have an open area. PS Ismail meanwhile takes down one more player, and Kashyap is looking really good domination for his own self. H2E meanwhile, the team has 2 kills, and both are with Jigsaw, but now they have to look forward and look for more because they need those kill numbers.
Absolutely, and H2E certainly has an upper advantage of that hill as they push on down towards PES, and that is going to be a very, very interesting approach for H2E. But PES right now not looking that comfortable as they are being grounded from NES's side, and that could be annihilation from the side of PES. But for now, they're able to maintain that strong ground, and they're able to keep those 4 players alive. On the other side, you talk about Destroyer approach. This is looking interesting. Now, Hammer on the silver of HP and getting himself back alive. On the other side, Willax getting H2E's annihilation and domination is being brought down. That implied there's only 1 more player remaining for the side.
Khater is out there and no more. He gets shut down as well. We are down to 4 teams right now. 4 teams surviving. H2E is looking really good. Now they are picking up the pace. Jigsaw again has 2 kills. PES meanwhile has 9 kills for themselves. They just have to stay here. The circle is with them now. Circle is with PES. Will the game be with PES? That's the most important question. On to the other side, NES. These 2 players. What they can do is just hope that they get the 2nd position. Otherwise, if they take up a fight, it might just backfire. But DSM are the last player for DES. How long can he survive given the fact he's outside the zone?
Well, for now, he's certainly going to want to try and utilize this position because, of course, the other teams, the other 3 teams that we're looking at right now, PES as well as Northeast Sports and H2E, are going to have to make that rotation and get themselves that much more acclimated into the compound itself. And the rush is coming in from H2E, and this is not looking too good because Kasuf is already set up and ready, and he's got the crosshairs all set up, but H2E just somehow getting away from that position and in towards the compound of PES. Now, PES has to hold their ground. There's no conversation about it. But on the other side, of course, Ocean, as you just mentioned, when it comes to Northeast Sports agenda, they ought to just keep themselves alive for the longest time that they possibly can.
Well, DSM, what he can do is, suppose if PS's players are taking up TVP onto the other direction, DSM can go for a really good backstab. Just might as well just take 1 player down with himself as as he will be, being taken down by the circle slowly and steadily. He has to cross the road and he cannot cross the road. Meanwhile, H3 takes down one Hawker as well. He's low on HP. He will have to save himself. Meanwhile, he needs to put up a first hit and he needs to do it now. All right, NES, they start up a fight. They are in the war. Jigsaw goes down by Emmer as well. NES, two-man chaos is what they are. Hawker, low on HP. Helmet totally done for. All he has to do is go for the heals and he does not have. Now he has 4 first aids. Will be putting up 1. Has to revive the teammates. This is going to be really bad. But DS Emmer also comes down into this house. This is a complete chaos. Emmer taking up a proper TPP as he can. And he has decided to not go up. Not right now. But NES, they want those kills. Emmer is out here. Emmer needs to see this. He goes in. Spots him out. Can he take a fight? No, he avoids it. He avoids it. He avoids the fight. But why?
What? That, of course, the information was relayed to NES's player, but indeed he did not want to take that fight whatsoever at all. And DES Destroyer Hammer has certainly utilized that capitalization and perfectly brought himself into the small little hut. But along with that, PES, they have to thank NES for H2E's entire push was controlled by North Esports.
Now it's down to P. I mean, PES has numbers advantage. All they know that the gunshots are in that house. The players are in that house. These 4 players, they have 10 kills. Murtaza needs up a revival. He will be given that revival, and yes, he is revived. If you have nades, just throw them. Even if it's on the ground floor, even if it's on the first floor, you will get someone down. That's the most important thing. But right now, PES, they are still looking forward. NES, meanwhile, they are onto the ground floor. All they need to do is go for Emmer. Now, Maxi, he is throwing up a few things out onto one corner. But Emmer takes on Murtaza. I mean, what an aim this guy has. Destroy Esports, meanwhile, gets eliminated. This house constitutes every inch of fight. 10 seconds. And the next circle will be forming up. Now, PS has to get inside the circle. They are 14 meters outside the circle. If they have to make it for the game, they have to go inside the circle. It's really tricky. It's really tricky. It's against them right now.
But it certainly is working in their favor because they've got the man advantage, and that is, of course, something that they could very well capitalize and utilize upon. And NES having to, well, again, they have to look on towards the 360 approach, and they have to keep in mind that the team of PES could be approaching from any direction, any side, and PES has a wonderful skill where they are just trying to block off that information by the use of that smoke.
I heard MK though, but well, Emmer is the last one surviving right now. The circle's doing damage to him and he goes down. All right, well, I heard a few MK14 shots as well just a second ago, and now it's like if someone is using MK, it's surely a game done, and there it is. PUBG Esports getting this one. First rank getting it.
12 kills to this team. That was just dominating play coming in from PUBG Esports. Phenomenal turn of events, and what a perfect chicken dinner. I mean, they have to thank the side of North Esports for that push that came in from H2E. Had North Esports not been in that compound, it probably would have resulted in a different affair for PES, I think.
Exactly, it would have been, but the way the fights actually just, went forward with everything, I just loved it. Because till the final, like DES's last player was surviving as well. He made it to the house, he almost confused his opponents at that moment, that 1v2.
Wow, that was just incredible. I mean, again, it was just such a rushed-paced event that eventually, again, they decided not to engage in that fight and just rush upstairs and get into the safety. But talking about the most valuable player from today's game, it is going to be none other than PUBG Esports, Kasuf.
Yeah, it is Kashu. 5 kills, 841 damage, 26 plus minutes of survival time, 1 assist coming down to him. Healing done was 316. So that's really good. I mean, obviously, given the fact that you are taking so many fights out of those warehouse areas. So yeah, it just, comes down to him. But Kashu and his team, they were impressive today.
They certainly were. No conversation. I mean, the way this team just held their ground and slowly, again, talking about rotations coming in from the open zones, it was just perfect. But talking about the top players from today's game, we also do, of course, need to talk about, I believe, NES. Yes, there it is.
NES, FS, DSM, or the solo survivor, he was also out here. So if we're just talking about all these players and everything, look at this. NES Maxi 27, almost 27 minutes of survival time. FS's Tyrant, he was looking really good with the fights and everything. And Miramar, surely, I mean, these 4 players, they dominated the big land.
They did. No question asked. They certainly did. But the way DES Destroyer Emery made that push and resulted in his team being the third.
Yeah.
The placement points, that is certainly going to bring that team a lot many points than initially would have expected, because he was just the lone survivor of the team.
Exactly, and at that moment, H2E was also fighting PES. Had that fight not happened, and he was just trying to get inside that house or something, he would have been spotted by the players of probably PES or maybe NES, like that thing. So
true, that is so true. But let's also have a look at the match ranking from this game, and indeed we know for a fact that PUBG Esports did get a chicken dinner, 12 kills along with that, so 27 points to this team. But North Esports being second and Destroyer Esports of course on third. But talking about the other teams, talk about H2E, they were fifth. The push that they made did result in not their favor, but it was certainly a good decision, because otherwise it was a circle.
I mean, it was a good push if anything, but well, we were just talking about the other players as well. Knockout, this was not a good game for Team Knockout. C4 Gaming as well. I mean, I didn't know 3 players were playing. Obviously, it kind of just changes the pace of the game for your own momentum. So that's one thing that happened. Lost Esports, talking about that team. Team Stoners Entity. These teams have had previous good games. RAR Esports, BFM, and this game, like talking about BFM, obviously they were looking a really promising team previously as well, but now like things did falter out a bit in this particular game.
That certainly did for them, but again, I mean, that is just a wonderful play from all of these teams. So let's also recap and go back to the upper moments from this match number 3 and find out what all different plays did these teams bring out.
That's the start. You still remember, right? The way it actually happened. I don't know why this happened,
what
but
was he thinking?
Yeah, this started off the fights everywhere, but then this push, I mean, this was a really brilliant effort from both the teams.
From both the teams, actually, and the way the compound was held on by was beautiful by FS, but eventually, of course, you'd move on towards PES, and the way they were able to bring down the conversation towards BFM and also the other teams in that compound, it was just phenomenal because they had the control, but then the rotation that came in from PES is where things went a little bit south. But eventually they were able to capitalize and control that.
Yeah, but then this one, I mean, talk about this. BFM Hunter takes on one, takes down another one, and now with the help of the third one also goes down. This was a really impressive fight, but then out in this one, H2E. I mean, H2E held their grounds in a really good fashion.
They certainly did, and slowly and steadily certainly did knock out a lot of players, and this is where they had to decide to push and move on into the final battle itself. It was, of course, PES against NES, and that is the result of that game where, of course, PUBG Esports getting a chicken dinner, but they were looking dominating for, of course, they got 12 points.
Yeah, that is totally true. They got good points for themselves, but if you're just talking about, everything that happened in these fights versus everything that, will be happening in the final fights, I would love to see how the final fights, the final game, will move forward, because this game was incredible, first and second game were incredible, but now the final one is going to be Erangel again.
Oh yes, it is certainly going to be Erangel. We're going to go all the way back to where it all started, and that is, of course, where the decision will be made. But talking about what that decision is going to be, well, before we do that, let's also move on with the overall standings, and let's find out that after this game number 3, where has PUBG Esports reached?
Wow, look at this, 106, and the second team has 691, and they look at the difference already.
Big difference indeed, and they still have one more game remaining for them. But again, you move on down towards the other side, where indeed you talk about NFP, North Esports, Zarar, and Knockout. They are looking phenomenal as well.
I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, is Portal doing really good because they have 106 points, or is Team Grounder going to come back because they obviously have 4 extra? So you can never anticipate like what's going to happen.
Exactly. I mean, till the time we don't move on down towards the 16 teams, we will not know, because right now it's in the regional stages, and finally when we move on down towards, of course, the regional stages themselves, that is when we'll be looking at, just the 16 teams. Right now, this is just A-OK for now, because all the teams are looking pretty A-OK for now.
That is true, if anything. But well, if we're just talking about the other things, you can see a few teams out here as well, 23, 24, these teams are good, but they have to do even better. Redstone Beacon, this game was not good for them, so obviously they have to, once again start up with their momentum. Hellraise, obviously these teams will be playing tomorrow. N2D, meanwhile, and Team Stoners, they need to step up their game.
They certainly do. N2D as well as Team Stoner, for some reason or the other, they are just not able to put their mark into the game as of now, and of course that will be a fingers crossed situation for that team, because right off the bat since day one, Team Stoner has not had a good day.
Yeah, that is true. They need to, right? You talk about one thing, and that is a continuation. Your continuation happens once you start up with a good thing.
Exactly.
That's where you can continue it. So they'll have to go for a continuation.
Absolutely. I mean, that's all that they can do. Just keep on grinding, keep on working towards improving their gameplay, and with that, of course, they can, of course, expect a better result, a better outing in any of these one games, because, of course, we've seen, and these teams have showcased that as well, that just one game, one good game, and you can move all the way into the first page of the leaderboard as well. But GG's indeed, because that was a phenomenal game, as that did come to an end, though.
That is totally true. That is totally true. The way the game actually happened, it was an incredible game. But, I want to see where the last one actually takes us.
Absolutely. But before we head into the final game, we're going to go to a very, very short break. Stick around. We're going to be right back. Hello and welcome back once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open. This is the Pakistan region Spring Split final game, game number 4 that is going to be held right now. But before we talk about that, it is of course all thanks to Reno 5 Pro for of course making all of this happen. But dude, I mean Ocean, this has been a phenomenal day. Group A and D, both of them have been dominating today.
I mean, this indeed has been an incredible day. We just talk about it, and the way the day has been moving up with its own momentum. Talking about some incredible, those 1v2, 1v3 clutches, then there's 2v4 situations of Miramar, and then like those buggy moments and all those. So I would love to see what happens in the last game and how it pans out.
Absolutely. Again, I mean, you talk about the way the day started off. Of course, it was NFP taking a wonderful chicken dinner, but move on along to the way the teams have progressed along against each other, playing for the first time against each other. It is certainly looking really good. I mean, certainly PES has been dominating, Zarar has been dominating. Now it's only going to be about consistency. How consistent are you going to be from one game to the other?
I mean, that is the thing. That is totally the thing, how we can just think about it and see about it. Because if you're seeing a few teams, right, talking about Erangel, let's just focus it on Erangel. We saw no team going to Yasnaya. We saw no team going to military base and all those areas. Suppose, what if the circle goes down to military base in the next game and every team has to get there? So you start contesting bridge, you start taking kills and all, and the game just starts, playing with you. So things like that, you will have to be ready for those things.
Absolutely. And talking about that and moving away from Erangel into the second map, that was, of course, Sanhok. It was the map that was controlling the entirety of the game. I mean, it was just pushing teams to move on along, of course, into the zone, but it was moving the teams against each other's rotations. And that was just the way the fight started off and braked out. And that was just perfect. Just absolutely perfect. And the only thing that worked out in GHAZI's favor was that they were all alone by themselves in that map, though.
I mean, that's one thing that actually did happen. But if we're talking about all the other things, right? Indeed, just like you said, those things were working out, not working on the favor, against favor, and all those things. So if we still have to see how the fights now, they will just pan down and everything. I would love to see something like via the players. I want to see a good 1v4, or I want to see a good, pan through. I still start right from PMGC. I'm hoping for it. I'll see a pan throw. I'll not see a pan throw happening. It has never happened.
Well, not yet. That is true. But hopefully that could be the day today. It could very well be the day today. But in that, of course, it'll all be speculation based as to what team would be the one want to push on along with that. But talking about another team like, of course, Stoner, I'm hoping that today they will be able to get themselves in this final game. They should be able to get themselves a bit better of a position.
They should end the day good, right? Because obviously the overalls, they're not looking that good. So they should end the day good. And if we're talking about ending the day good, all we can hope and all we can talk about is what they can go for is like top five finishes, like decent for the starters right now.
Yep, just survival. Just survival is all I think that they should be focusing on. I mean, RS, we've seen Fire, we've seen Snow. They do end up getting some decent loot all along. But then again, when it comes to their rotation and when it comes to their aggression point of view itself, it is a bit flawed in certain sense. And that perhaps is the reason why they're not able to get themselves the perfect placement points, and they're on the end of that leaderboard for now. But again, that's okay. That's absolutely fine, because it's not the end of the journey thus far. Right?
I mean, exactly. But still, out from here, a newer picture does await for a lot of players. Like there's obviously some players, because if you are coming down from a new team or something, right, you might as well want to question out on a few things, and that is, you qualified with that team. But now pressure sometimes just starts rising on you, because you are seeing big names already out there, like PES. Obviously, we saw what this team's capable of, NES, that as well. And then we can talk about all the other names. So there are a few names that are really big names. And once you're fighting against them, it kind of just, comes onto your mind. Like, what are the mistakes what we are doing? We are doing the similar things that they are doing, but how are they doing it better? So, like, those questions, sometimes they arise. And that's where you start questioning, like, what are we missing? Because everyone does the same thing. You get an AKM, the other one gets an AKM. You both fire at the same time, but still it takes you down. How does that happen?
True, that is so true. And again, I mean, talk about C4, the way that game was played on Sanhok, the way that player was approaching the entirety of the situation. It was just skill, basically, right? That's what the conversation goes down towards. That yes, you have to be able to keep in that dominating play, but that skill needs to be on point to be able to play that dominating force into the entire lobby. Otherwise, it is going to backfire. And when it does backfire, the only approach that you end up having with is the placement points, and just keep a very slow and low-key approach and just work towards the placement points, perhaps. That, again, is something that when it comes to Pakistan region, we have not seen from a lot of teams, It is just aggression right off the bat from so many teams.
That's actually a good thing. Some teams want to go for aggression because they know the value of the kill points. You got to go for it. Because the thing is, see, if you go for the kill points, obviously the teams in your opposition they do get eliminated, and
Right.
you are getting placement points in that way.
Absolutely, but if your skill is not on par, or if you're not able to, bring your team together and bring on that synergistic approach that you probably would have had when you were strategizing, then you need to be able to be that much more dynamic in your approach and work towards, well, get yourself away from that final leaderboard, simply put. But eventually, again, it is a speculation-based conversation, because eventually it is going to be based on how the team conversation goes out to be, how the team itself is looking on to different matches and what they're expecting from themselves. Never mind the lobby.
Yeah, I mean, something good happens in some matches,
Right.
something different happens in some matches. We can talk about, in this one, I can talk about Zarar's Sanhok match.
Right.
Eventually, Professor was the first one to get knocked down. He got up, he took up the fight,
Yes.
and started wiping out players by players, had 5 kills
Wow.
by the end of the game. So that just shows a really, really good aggressive side of a player. When you can talk about it like, all right, the player did go down, but hey, if he can stand up and take up a fight, he will.
Exactly, and that, of course, becomes that much more crucial. And again, I mean, that was just that rivalry that was being forced out of Professor and the side of course, Zarar through and through. And that was just a perfect play for them. But eventually, when you talk about those sort of placement points and the kill points, Zarar has not been able to, bring themselves up above third circle or fourth circle many times, and thus implying that they're not getting that much more closer to the final chicken dinner.
I mean, in that one, it just comes down to some difficulties. Sometimes, that happens in the player synergy sometimes.
True, that is true. But with that, we're going to go on a very short break. We'll be back exactly into the map of final game that will be on Erangel.
Because you're everything I need.
and here we are back into the final game on Erangel indeed, and this is going to be the final game for Group, of course, the A and D. And dude, Ocean, I mean, now, the day has been phenomenal from Group A as well as D side.
Yeah.
PES has been performing beautifully. DES has been trying their level best. GHAZI has been on top of things. Lost Esports slowly and steadily making it worth it. But where is this final thing going to lead towards? Let's find out.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the question that everyone will be asking up right now to each other, because first of all, circle, then teams, how are they going to be, planning themselves and everything. This is going to be a bit of a trick or a tricky situation for themselves. Well, it's still. No one's on to Military Base Island as far as I know, because FS, I believe they are going to be going to the areas around Milta and Farm.
From the looks of it, that is certainly true. And also with that, C4 finally has all 4 players playing right now. And Gulfam is back in the lobby. So that is looking pretty neat for the side of C4, as we did see them get a bit, well, not so good game coming in from the Miramar map, but eventually move on to the final game. It is a different energy and a different approach throughout the entire lobby. But on the side, of course,
Gatka Circle.
Wow. The circle has completely moved on to the western side of the map.
Yeah, so this is actually a Gatka, the southern side of Gatka Circle. But all right, well, Kashu starts up the day. They already needed this. If you just talk about this one, I would say this, that they already need it now. It's going to be a tricky thing. All right. Can he take one player down? I mean, it's going to be a bad thing. Because, when we talk about it, VSS wanted a reload, and the timing to reload VSS would have been a bad affair. So, well, you win some, you lose some, and both the teams, they won some, they lost some.
Exactly. There's just one knock coming in from N2D and one knock for PES. And with that, these are left with only 3 players. But along with that, H2E also taking some early skirmishes on the map. And you talk about the approach coming in from the side. That was, of course, Team Stoner Mad getting knocked out.
Yes, he did. He did go down. And now the thing is, the finishers might as well just come in. And look at this. This is going to be a bad thing. But, oh! S12K speaks up. Again, the trades are coming in. It's like no finishes. But now one finish just arrived. Now a good grenade. Is that a good grenade? Is that a good grenade? I don't know. Is he pointing up with a good grenade? This ends him down. All right. Well. This Erangel is something different from the start.
Well, again, it's only been 3 minutes, and we're looking at knock after knock, kill after kill, which is phenomenal. And right here, it seems like Team Stoner, as we were just talking about in the pre-game segment, is not off to a great start. And indeed, it is H2E that is bringing in, oh, well, a lot of trouble for the team of Stoner. Eventually, though, PES is now moving down towards the side of N2D, and that is also looking pretty interesting for PES. Is also a very aggressive team, and right off the bat, they have started taking kills. That is looking good in their favor. But right now, Team Stoner, they have the information regarding H2E. As of now, Fauji was the one who was looking down towards Dread, as he saw or probably had a hint towards Dread and his location, but had no idea about his team player being knocked on the other side, and that is now going to leave them in a very tricky situation, because they've got players on their right hand side, they've got players on behind them, and the left hand side as well, which is, again, how exactly are you to deal with only 2 players surviving for Team Stoner now?
Yeah, and if the players are using smoke right now, I don't know if that's a bait smoke or something, or they did use up a smoke, and oh, Fauji, well, one more goes down. Now Leo is just 1 player surviving out in this house, so Dread might as well just go for the confirmation or something. Alright, a Molotov did just go up onto the side, and they have spotted each other. Alright, that is the first wipe happening already into this fight. No one would have expected that right off the bat, but well, this Erangel, it's so fast-paced the way it just started. We are down to, what, 4 minutes, and we have seen one player, and wipes happening up right now.
Exactly, that is true, and that has made H2E onto a great start from the looks of it, and that is going to make things really, really difficult for the side of Team Stoner, because we did notice that Team Stoner were not looking too good on that leaderboard as well, and as we move on along, this final game that was supposed to be in their favor has also gone south.
Well, that is true, but if we're just talking about Team GHAZI right now, Team GHAZI is also trying to take up the fights in their own hands. As you can see, they are really close to the players of Team Zerar, and Tita is just out here, but the major question is, can he or can he not make his own rules to play in this area? I mean, it's going to be really tricky, really difficult, but it's not impossible. So somehow, they will have to see through it. GHAZI's players, Khan is on low HP, is all obviously, popping up those bandages, and maybe just those boosters are going to be helping him just a bit. But this fight is happening in 70. No one would have thought that 2 teams will go 70.
Exactly, and again, you talk about Zerar's approach. They certainly need to be, or not even need to be, they certainly are flanking the team of GHAZI. The only conversation is going to be, will GHAZI know and have that upper hand advantage in terms of the information that is being shared from the side of Zerar, Professor, and of course Zigzag. Now, the conversation is, it seems like they will be again contesting and they will be wanting to push, and Smoke's coming in right here, which is going to make a little bit of a, well, a difficult situation, not necessarily, but a bit of a mind game being played against the team of GHAZI right here.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But well, if we're just, looking at all these things right now, Zerathira has a really good angle. You can see, I mean, Zera's two players are moving up forward. Once those players start taking up the fight, Thira can take one player down at least from this direction. I mean, even talking about Ghazi's Khan, he has a good angle for his own self, but Khan, he has to stay low. He has a shotgun. I mean, an impressive weapon in extremely close range, but once you have to take those mid-range fights, you might have to think once again.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, it is Zerar, Theta, as well as Professor pushing on along. On the other side, of course, Zalim, as well as Zigzag have flanked the position of GHAZI. Now, GHAZI have 3 players in that house, but there is one more player that we did see earlier who was healing himself. It will probably be a determining force for the side of GHAZI as Zerar takes this fight against them. This is also going to require a lot of utilities, and with that, of course, Zigzag bringing in an early domination towards GHAZI. Bhai being brought down from GHAZI has been knocked, but of course, he does have a lot of players around him, his teammates, that will be able to perhaps give him a revive, and Zan from GHAZI has already pushed on Zigzag.
Well, Zerar's grenade. You saw Zalim's grenade taking down 2 players. No one would have expected that. Now they know they've made a mistake, but can they capitalize over this one? That's going to be the most important things. He's throwing more. He's using more throwables. Is that going to be good? I don't think so. But now Bhai has been revived, and he might as well just go for the finishes. On to the kills. That was not even his.
Exactly, and with that, of course, they're capitalizing this push wonderfully. GHAZI certainly in control, even though right now 2 players of Zerar are down. Zalim and Zigzag need to bring this fight in control in their favor, but this is going to be a really tough one because, again, you do look at the gun. It is going to be a rate of fire advantage, but again, I mean, you've got the player disadvantage, and with that, it is Zerar's push going against them and the first team to be sent back into the lobby.
That grenade just changed the course of entire push. In a nutshell, it just changed the course of entire push. But well, right now I think another fight might just happen. Wherever we see the fights are happening, Shari takes on Myth, and now LS will have to see if they are lost or not.
Absolutely, this is certainly not looking too good for Lost Esports. Again, you talk about BFM and the way they've been able to control the small little compound. This is looking pretty A-okay for the side of BFM because they've already been able to knock down one player of LS. That is going to be Myth. On the other side, they have the information down towards Belief as well as Iconic. So they've got the crosshairs all set and ready. Just one little peek from Belief, and he will also be looking not in a good position. And again, there are grenades being utilized. There is utilities coming in from BFM. They've got the advantage of the compound and they've got the cover of the compound, whereas on the other side, Lost has nothing but just a few trees.
Well, Iconic is just out there, and he might as well take one player down. But no, he did do a bit of damage though. But well, Hawk will complete the job. Look at his HP; he's down to what, 50 HP or something. But now Believe it might just be a tricky affair. Believe is just surviving, but for how long can he survive? He has been pinned down, pincered down, turned into a crate. Lost Esports becomes the 3rd team to be eliminated so fast.
That is, again, I mean, 9 minutes have already just gone by, and within that moment, we've seen 3 teams being sent back into the lobby right off the bat. This is an aggressive final game for day number 3 between Group A going against Group D. You're talking about BFM. We have yet to see where PES and all of them teams are, and with that, of course, we've got the map on our screens, where indeed you look at PES, they are onto the western side of Pochinki, and they could be in a little bit of a trouble because H2E as well as North Esports are making their rotation down towards that same exact region.
Yeah, that is true. But right now, if we just look at all these areas, you can just see now it might be FSN into these fights. Because wherever we are seeing, fights are happening, and the fights are happening till the end of a team. All right, one goes down, and now Respect has to take another one down. I mean, the revival might just not be in the question. But I mean, what Phantom can do is go from the right hand side, and that's what he's doing. He's doing it really good. He gets spotted down as well. Shots were being lined onto his direction. But all right, FS the backup arrives, but for the team of N2D, I mean, you can see the finishes will be happening. N2D's Bacha gets finished down, and now Phantom has to take up every inch of the fight. He takes down one. He will go for the finish or not. He does. He needs to do the damage. He likes to do the damage, but he goes down as well. Another team goes down.
Wow, in just 1 minute. Last call was at 9 minutes. Now it's 10.5 minutes, and just 1.5 minutes, another team is being sent into the lobby. This is just a dominating play coming on the final map. No questions asked, all the way from left, right, and center. Wherever we look, there are fights and skirmishes happening through and through the entire lobby. And with that, we move on down towards C4's Gulfam, and he is back. He is back for the team. Last game, he was not playing, and thus C4 was only a 3-man army, but now they have the entire squad for themselves. And with that, FS not only bringing in kills for themselves, but also taking the airdrop.
And the way the fights are happening, I cannot believe. We just think about it, we just talk about it, we see it, and the fight, and we just see crates afterwards. That's one thing. So now I don't know if we should talk about the circle or not, because the players are much more focused on the fights as compared to the circles and all. And it's like every team that got eliminated was from some other team. It's not like there's just one team is dominating. It's like different teams are dominating. But right now, FS, now they don't want to be in the corners and the Hicks. So what they're doing is just moving away. They don't want any part of this fights against DES.
Absolutely, but they certainly seem to be coming in towards the side of DES, and they are bringing in a little bit of contention, perhaps, where DES will probably want to take this fight as they have the advantage, they have the information, whereas on the other side, if you talk about FS, well, Freestyle certainly have brought themselves into the compound, but they have not yet understood if at all DES is set up on the other side.
That is true, but if you're talking about DES and FS, look at this. Really close to each other, but the only thing that's separating them is obviously this open area, plus the fact that they don't want to take up fight right now, because if they do, the charge and the rushes will be just coming in. Both the teams, they have done phenomenal in the previous games, and FS, obviously, the previous Miramar, they started off the fights. Right now, we talk about the Gatka circle. The circle will be like really close to Gatka as well, and might as well just go for a bit of a northern side for its shift. That's going to be the other story, the storyline as we'll be just seeing. But Team GHAZI, they have a good area for themselves. Obviously, they took the first fight in Severny, and then they started moving up forward. Look at C4 though, away from each and every fight.
Exactly. I mean, in that sense, you talk about all the teams that are remaining, which are only 11, I believe. There are so many of these teams that are just all by themselves separated. And with that, another circle coming in towards this Gatka side, and that's going to have to push DES as well as FS from the smoke compounds that they were in. And FS already in their buggies and cars, rotating out of that situation. And DES was not able to take that fight because, again, I mean, they're going to have to move away as well. There's no conversation about it.
Just like we said, Gatka and a bit of a northern side circle, and that's what the circle was. So, yeah, yep. I mean... not gonna brag. Well, now 8 of them in the hands of the players of RS, but can they make that, can they put that to use? That's going to be one of the most important things. You have a really good weapon, but getting each and every shot, 8 of them is so valuable. If you don't, hit the shot, you get hurt. And like it's like, oh my god, how do I miss that shot? That thing.
So very true. Again, it is a very powerful beast indeed, but indeed you have to be very precise with your skill, and you have to bring in the precision. But move on along to the rotations coming in. DES, as we see, are making that rotation alongside, I believe that was FS as well, that was making a rotation, and now they're moving straight into the crosshairs of PES, and PES seem to be ready for this. But will this fight move on towards DES or PES? We're going to have to find out. Where Destroyers are certainly bringing in a little bit of domination, but there's nothing being knocked. He has a Tommy in his hand, but that is going to result in 1 knock and second knock coming in from the side of Hammer. This is just incredible turnover wins for the side of Destroyer, and they seem to be annihilating the team of PES.
Hammer on really low HP though, but he does do the job out in there. PUBG Esports is reduced to 1 person, and obviously that one player would never want to rush out in this one. Murtaza is also on low HP, but would never peak as well right now. As of now, if he peaks, he knows he is in for contestation. That last kill, DES would love that if they get that.
Absolutely, but again, they probably have no idea where exactly is this final player. But eventually, the push certainly did work in DES Destroyer Esports' favor, and that rotation also has worked in their favor. There's no two ways about it. They were outside the circle, but again, the way they pushed on along, Hammer was just on point throughout, and the Tommy working in his favor. The point is just precise, and with that, we move on down towards knockout.
Knockout has done H2E has done a brilliant strategy onto the L joint of the sewer area. What they've done is, put up those vehicles. So now if someone throws a grenade, the grenade does not move up forward. They have a good area. No one can push from this area. Everyone will have to push from the upper side because no one will be coming in from these vehicular areas. That's a really, really good strategy from H2E. But it's like one thing. If KO can take one player down, they can, just use a lot of grenades and can take the whole team down because they'll know the location of H2E. So that's one thing. But NFP is also coming from the other side.
Exactly. When you talk about these trenches and these sewers, that is the one problem that I have with this. Again, it is a really good position to get yourself held in, but if at all the other team does end up bringing in a lot of utilities, it is going to be your demise, no question about it. But with that, of course, Knockout as well as H2E getting their crosshairs against each other, but on the other side, of course, is NFP.
I mean, NFP is onto the other side. But now the thing is the circle. Look at this. The circle is just moving upwards, like from the Gutkas area. And now the sewer area is going to be important for the players to just move forward if they have to get inside the central lines. And central lines is being held by NFP right now. They have a good area for themselves. Talking about the teams, like, as of now, it's so open. We see really few teams, although it's 11.
Exactly. There's just 11 teams. And once again, you talk about GHAZI and their approach. Team GHAZI is up towards the northern side of the circle. And they are probably going to be bringing themselves in slowly and steadily with the circle itself, keeping onto the edges of the circle itself. And with that, of course, as you were mentioning, Ocean, H2E is making that rotation down towards NFP, who are at the center of the circle for now.
Yeah, that is true. But right now, Knockouts players is something that you can see they are really close to FS. And we know what FS has done previously. They did just eliminate the competition. They just did just wipe out a squad. PS Murtaza meanwhile takes on DSM or PES Murtaza. He has to play every card in the correct manner. Otherwise, if he goes down, the game just, ends out there. That's going to be one of the things. But right now, as you can see, Murtaza is still surviving. But for how long can he survive? Spots another one, takes another one down. Can he do a 1v4? That's going to be the important thing. Has to go for a reload as well. He gets spotted. He gets spotted. Right now, this is going to be a tricky affair. He's on low HP, but so is his opponent. This might be bad, but no. NFP Sky Halsey takes him down. It was not DES.
Yep, that is true. NFP certainly are in the center of that wonderful circle, and they had the information. They were able to just bring in that third-party situation and rather help out Destroyer, I would say. But in that skirmish, of course, Destroyer did end up losing 2 of their players. But what a beautiful turn of events this has been for the side of course, NFP. But eventually now, we've only got 10 teams remaining, 17 minutes in. This is a bonker of a game right now.
This surely is the way the game has been moving up forward. 17 minutes. Like, who would have thought the game would be going so fast in such a pace? But well, all right. BFM Shari. I remember the last time I saw this guy, he had an M249 just from that airdrop, and now, all right, so the player did go down. Well, we'll have to see what happened out there, because BFM, we can see the player, the team out there, the players just out there, and Daddy Kari, he's just giving up the location for the opponents. He did spot one head, though. Okay.
I think he did. Daddy Kari certainly did, but he's got better information right here from C4. In the entire team is all in just that one car, and this could be a lot of trouble for the side of C4 as they're making that push directly towards DES.
Well, the team's arriving. Who would not love to see this push happening on to the players? C4 is ready. DFS is ready. This is going to be a brilliant fight. A good grenade being lobbed out onto that direction. If it does the damage, that's going to be impressive. But now it's nade parade from both the directions, as both the players, both the teams are just looking really good for the grenades with themselves. But now, if we talk about this one, DS, somehow they want to just live into this area. But hey, Daddy Kari goes down by Mustafa's grenade, and now the ball is in the court of C4. Or should I say the nades are in the court of C4, because they are looking really good, and they might as well just finish the one last player. There it is. Another team goes down. It's just total wipes.
Wow, what a play this was. Indeed, I mean, the initial skirmishes started off from against C4 side, but the way C4 was able to just come into the compound and slowly, but of course efficiently, bring the compound into their control was beautifully done. Perfect control and perfect aggression being showcased by the side of C4. And with that, they did end up taking a knock, but the player is not dead. So they have all 4 men alive walking out of this situation very easy and very comfortably. But moving on towards the circle itself, it is once again NFP in control of that circle, followed by BFM, who are in the center of the circle as of now. Again, you talk about GHAZI and their approach. They are still wanting to stick out and just remain outside the compounds, outside all of the fights, and outside the circle.
Well, right now, C4 Point, the player is back. He does not have any kills right now, but the thing is, the team does have 3. Now let's see how they can move up forward with everything. Meanwhile, the circle is with the hands of BFM. I just want to see if someone picked up that M249 or not, because, in this kind of a circle, in an open circle, M249 can create havoc.
Absolutely can. There's no two ways about it. And along with that, of course, there's going to be a lot of utilization of the utilities as well, which is going to be bare essential for you to be able to push on along, as the ones who are in the center of the circle will have a lot more information than the ones who are going to have to push on along, because the smokes do end up giving you cover, but they also do give your position out.
Yeah, that is totally true. Right now, NFP, the players will have to move forward as well with themselves. Well, Katil, Kian and Ash onto one side, and they are looking really good with their own areas. But H2M and the players will have to move upwards from that sewer area, because they have to take up the fights. Every inch of the fight should be taken right now. But still, if you can see C4's players go from low on HP, Ahmed low on HP as well, and yes, Maxi takes down BFM Hawk. BFM might be in a bit of trouble, but well, Katil takes on C4. Zakib Ahmed is really close to his opponent. He is actually so close, it might be a trouble for him.
Absolutely, and right now, of course, the grenades that are coming in from the side of C4 certainly seem to be backfiring their push altogether itself, and FB is certainly in control of this entire region push coming in from the side of C4. There's no two ways about it. C4 is in a bit of a doozy, but talking about FS and their approach, Knockout has been knocked out one after the other, and this has now turned into the knockout one man remaining. That is going to be Musa.
Well, he won't be knocked out, though. He will be finished if that happens. A good grenade from both the directions. It did go down, but well, all right. Well, one was a smoke, the other one was a nade. All right, played to perfection, I would say. Musa, that smoke might as well just bait him, his opponents out. We'll have to see how that actually goes. But Musa, his location is compromised. But the thing is, the throwables, the utilities is being wasted rather than being used, because it's not getting any results. That's the most important thing. You need to get the results from this one. We'll have to see what happens in this one.
Exactly, and you talk about the way FS has taken this approach, it is going to be a bit of a tricky situation, because of course they do not want to get out of the sewer on the trenches, so to say, but eventually of course KO has to move away from that situation as well, because the circle is certainly gunning for him, and if he's held down there, that could be troublesome. And on the other side, of course, when we were talking about C4 going against H2E, well, they have been knocked out, so to say. C4 has only one man remaining from the looks of it, and that's going to be Mustafa, and his information has already been given away, and Ash from NFP just completing that kill, and C4 Gaming getting eliminated and sent back into the lobby.
Well, he was, they could see him obviously from the underlines of that buggy, so that was one thing that his skill was just given. Now we'll have to see what NFP actually does in this situation. They have all the players surviving. They have 8 kills for themselves. They might as well make this game theirs. I mean, talking about this one, the way they started off the day, they might just end it even better.
Absolutely, there's no two ways about it. The way NFP has held their compound and held control of the circle is phenomenal, along with which they've got 8 kills. There is only 7 teams remaining, 22 minutes in. This is just turning into an all-out war in this final battle ocean. With that, of course, NFP still has a lot of information for so many of these teams. H2E, they have had control of those sewers for the longest time, but they are going to have to get out of there and contest for a really good spot. On the other side, of course, you talk about the way Redstone PK have control. It is going to turn against them.
Well, we'll have to see if they can take the other players down as well. I mean, they are trying to spot each and everyone from all the directions as of now. Kian, again, is trying to spot the players, trying to take them down slowly and steadily. With, well, it's not giving up any results. Fire takes down Avenger out in this one, though. H2E is still surviving onto the left-hand side, though. But I want to see what NFP can actually do. I mean, Lucifer, their crosser was actually right, but they did not shoot in that direction. But now they're there, and Lucifer has been taken down.
Absolutely, and right it is. This is not looking too good for the side of Redstone PK. They are bringing in that, not even an aggression, but that push that is being brought in from them. It is just out in the open, and of course all the information is being shared with NFP, so slowly and steadily they have been taking those kills. But talk about NES, they are also out in the open, but with that H2E, they had been gunning for the team and finally do complete that wonderful knock from the side of H2E. But again, the question is going to be, H2E is pretty far out right now, and they're going to have to push on along, and in their zone, in their way, they also have to face FS, BFM and ES.
Well, BFM talking about the team Terminator, like he's in a bit of pickle. I mean, if some throwables, yeah, you can see the throwables are actually coming up onto him, and he is in a lot of trouble. Look at his HP. He's basically surviving on a sliver of HP. 1 HP is what he was surviving on BFM Terminator, but still, well, he is on to the other side. But right now he puts up a first aid, and he still is, barely breathing in all those areas from surrounded from all the sides.
Absolutely, and again go down to the compound of NFP. They are just annihilating their opponents left, right and center. They've got the information for so many teams. They have their entire team fanned out, looking towards, of course, the north as well as the south region and the eastern side as well, where indeed you're looking at north being controlled by H2E, and H2E is going to have to push on along to get themselves into a better spot of the circle for now. But move on down towards the side of course, FS. They are also going to have to contest for this fight now.
Well, Terminator is still surviving in this area. I don't know how it is happening. NES onto the other side. You can see Maxi, Hammer, and Avenger. They have to move up forward. Slowly and steadily, they are trying, but they can easily backstab Terminator, who I don't know if he knows it or not. Well, he is trying to compromise the directions from the upper side, and he is getting shot at. Might as well be the last one. And yes, he goes down. The kill goes to NFP. Now, if NES moves on to that side, NFP might as well still look at this direction. 7 meters. I mean, he was in the circle. 7 meters is the distance between the players and the circle.
As of now, NES slowly making that push along towards the side of NFP, and NFP have their eyes gauged down towards H2E as well as the side of course, the push that we just noticed coming in from NES. So, of course, this is going to be a conversation about how exactly is NFP going to be able to control this entire conversation, because they have the compound, but they have to move away from that. They have to move out of that, and that does bring FS into a really good controlled position.
Well, NFP's Kian is just moving up forward. H2E goes down in this situation. Now we're down to 3 teams. FS is looking really good. NES is looking really good. NFP is looking really good. They have players. You can see it's a 4 versus 3, but oh my god! NFP slowly and steadily is being shattered down. NES Avenger to the save, to the rescue, to the fights in all these areas. But no one's seeing your FS, and FS is looking really good in one thing, and they're like, okay, you take the fights, we'll take the chicken dinner probably.
Absolutely, from the looks of it, certainly, because FS certainly has the control of that small little sewer area, and they have nothing to contest for. But apart from that area, moving on the conversation towards NES, well, the push that came in from the side, oh wow, this is just perfect body being brought in from the side of Zulkar, and he has just slowly moved on along and given a perfect smack on the back of the head of NES Maxi.
Well, Zulka, he has to go just a bit back. And now NES is trying to understand what a headache it is, that there's a team on the right-hand side and a team on the front-hand side. And now they feel like they are pinned down, but then they still want to fight. They still want to go for the destruction. Now the Molotovs are being thrown from both the directions, left, right, and center. But the major thing is, can FS take this fight? They have 5 kills for themselves. Talking about NFP, they are also trying to look really good, but Kian goes down, takes down Avenger OP. That means they're still following up on NES. FS is still looking really good. Well, Tyrant is shooting on some other direction as of now, but right now all they have to do is continue their fight onto this direction. Only 31 seconds, and this is the 8th circle.
This certainly is the 8th circle, and with that, of course, the contention is between these 3 teams, which is, of course, going to be Freestyle, NFP, as well as North Esports. And, of course, North Esports had a perfect gunning position for NFP, but they were not able to bring down, apart from just one player on NFP, and NFP have been able to, well, revive the other players. So it is a 3v3v2.
Well, totally. This is going to be a difficult situation. No. It's a 3v. Yeah, it's a 3v3v3. But the thing is, NFP, how far can they take the fight? They take down Evan Joby again. It's his 3rd knock. He needs to go for a revive, otherwise things will be looking really bad for him. Or the health is going to go down slowly and steadily. So that's going to be one tricky thing. But he does end him down, making down to 8 alive. Who will be the final team standing? That's the question. NES Maxi goes down as well. NES is last player's team. No, it's not. It goes down. NFP versus FS. A 3v3 situation, and they know where their opponents are somehow. They will have to take every inch of the fight. Their helmets are destroyed. Somewhat vests are destroyed. But they are not backing down of a fight. Not today. Not in this match, because this match can put one team to a really comfortable spot. That's going to be one of the things. But hey, look at this. FS, the circle's moving up. The slow blue circle of death is slowly and steadily just moving up. Kian had a really good angle. He should not have, let that angle go. But let's see how it just goes down.
Absolutely, and with that, we see pills being popped and, of course, energy drinks being utilized, for which this means this is the time for them to push. And, of course, there are no utilities left at all from either of the sides. So there is a conversation about, well, who is going to be the one who's going to have to first give away the information. FS certainly is doing so. FS has given away a lot of information, and Kian right here from the side, of course, should be able to push.
This is the last circle, the last heal battle, and they gave all their first hits to one player so that they can just, utilize if it comes down to that. They just want to take a part of this heal battle. The slow circle just again moving up forward. One player has the heal battle area for himself so that he is not, in a really different situation. You can see Ash. Ash has all the first hits. He can go for the heal battle. I think Respect might be the one to go for a heal battle because he has a cover of that, the stone onto the other side. But the circle's moving. The circle's moving really slowly. This is gonna end onto the open area, the upper side. FS will be the first one to move forward. Respect goes down. The person who had to heal might have well gone down. But hey, Titan goes down as well. Oh my god. FS goes on the second place and NFP gets a chicken dinner again.
What a phenomenal play from NFP. I mean, this team started the day off with a wonderful, wonderful chicken dinner, and then you move on along to the final game. Once again, with 18 kills. 18 kills and 2,665 total damage. They have just been a dominating, destructive force throughout this game.
18 kills, think about it. Alright, so I'm looking bad. But 18 kills, think about it. The way this game actually just went down. That was a brilliant, brilliant game. I mean, final circle. Oh my god.
Dude, I mean, right off the bat, right? I mean, just in the first 3 minutes to 4 minutes itself, we had so many teams being knocked out and sent back into the lobby. The entire game was rushed and pushed on along towards that. One team knock coming in every 2 minutes.
Who would have thought this would be so fast of an Erangel? Yep. Last time where it was like 6 circles, 10 teams alive, and this time it was like, what, 10 minutes, 10 teams alive?
Exactly. With that, let's also have a look at the most valuable player from this game, the final game, and that has to be Sky Kian from NFPX Sky.
I mean, hey, when your team gets 18 kills, what you can do is get 5 and 4 assists. Only 96 healing done and 1,000 plus damage given. Definitely deserves the MVP trophy of this one.
Absolutely. The way NFP had information and control of that compound, they were bringing down their destructive force down towards, of course, the likes of H2E. On the other side, they had their crosshairs already set up for TS and other. It was just annihilation from the side of NFP. There's no two ways about it. And what a dominating play this has been. Phenomenal turn of events. Because again, I mean, this team got not only one but 2 chicken dinners today. So GG's, well played.
This was incredible, the way, these fights actually happen.
True. And with that, let's also have a look at the top players from this game. And they are going to be, a lot of them are 3 of them from NFP.
NFP and FS Respect deserves all the respect, for taking over all the fights that were happening out here. 15 kills in just this area, and then 3 from FS Respect. I mean, the team already, both the teams already showcased incredible manner for their gameplays.
True, that is just perfect GG play. And again, I mean, you talk about the way the entire game was pushed from all the teams. It was just an annihilating force. But with that, let's have a look at the match ranking and find out. Of course, we do know that NFP did get that wonderful chicken dinner. But talk on to the other sides. North Esports were 3rd. Freestyle, of course, was 2nd, as we noticed, and Team H2E on 4th, followed by BFM on 5th.
Yeah, they had 10 points. After that, C4 Gaming, PUBG Esports, you can see so many teams with just 4 points, and that is because some of them had kills, not the placements. Some of them had placements and not the kills. That's one thing. Team GHAZI, meanwhile, so there were a few teams as well that tried to take up a fight, but they could not. Those were a few things that just took up a few teams down.
Exactly, and that early push that we did see, that pushed on Zarar into the lobby. That was the first team, but that was just not the best of the outing for Zarar. Of course, we've seen them perform really much better than they did so this time around. But again, that was just one day to the other, one game to the other sort of a situation. But what a play. Entire lobby was just in it to win it sort of a moment. And with that, of course, let's move on to the best Oppo moments from this game. That is, of course, wow, final game.
I mean, we are just going to see squad vibes happening one by one. This is where it started. This is where it will end. You know it. That's how it was. The final fight was happening. This is where it ends. Moving forward, if we just talk about the other fights, this is where it started, this is where it will end. And again, that's what the movements were all about. GHAZI's players, they were looking really good. Zarar got eliminated. This is where it started, this is where it will end. From one direction to the other, Ellis also goes down. This is where it started, one player goes down. Just from an off angle, a rush comes in, and this is where it ends. I mean, one player did go down, but well, Phantom, you cannot survive for so long, and then this just happened.
Absolutely, and with that, this fight where Destroyer did make a wonderful push alongside the side of PES, were able to bring them down, one after the other, knocks coming in, and eventually were able to capitalize this push, even though keep in mind that PES had a control of this compound initially.
Exactly. That's totally true. But if you're just talking about all the fights that happened, look at this. We were down to single-digit teams in 20-minute marker. Previously, we used to have a different story just to tell.
Absolutely, and that is what this entire game has been. And talk about NFP and their approach. They were in the center for the longest time, and they were just knocking teams every single time they looked on through their crosshairs, and they knew the information. They had the information for all the teams pushing on along.
Look at this again, just taking down players and players and players. But right now, as we just talk about this one, FS, like, they were looking really good. They did do a lot of damage to the other team, but well, that team was taken down by NFP, and then NFP finally took down the whole fight for themselves.
Oh yes, indeed. And with that, they got 18 kills. 18. What a massive play. What a massive turn of events. Of course, with that, when you talk about that leaderboard itself, this team is looking very, very comfortable. Of course, PES was also looking really comfortable on that leaderboard, but of course, we'll have to see as to where exactly will that shift make.
I mean, NFP had a really good jump. So apart from North Esports, every team had two chicken dinners in the top 4 position, and Grounders will start their journey. I want to see what this team does tomorrow.
Absolutely. TG is where we are going to be, of course, keeping our eyes gauged on towards. For tomorrow, we're going to be looking at Group B going against Group C. But today, the outing has certainly worked out in a lot of these teams' favor from Group A and D. And with that, of course, Team H2E also moving on to the 10th position.
Right now, yes, that is true. Team 47, you can see Esports Nation on to 13th as well. So these are teams that are just a bit stagnant though, but they will start up their journey. Talking about Arcadians as well, they will start up their journey tomorrow. 2x official NSC, they will have to move up forward. Obviously, you have to be in top 16 right now just to show your contestation if you want to go for it.
Exactly, because again, you need to keep in mind this is group stages. This is day number 3 already, and there are only 6 days in this entire story. But talk about Team Stoners, the story has not been good.
Yeah, I mean, they've had 8 games and they have 11 points. The thing is, had it been 4 games and 11 points, we could have said that, like, they still have a chance right now. But now the story kind of seems like, changing just a bit.
Exactly. With that, let's have a look at Portal Esports and their card and their story, which is, of course, going to represent the different information that entire team of Portal Esports has brought. Now, talking about Momtu, who has, of course, been phenomenal with 21 kills thus far. 3,531 damage. Incredible play from this lad.
That's brilliant. But then talk about Murtaza. 10 kills, 3,000 plus damage. That's brilliant as well.
Oh, yes, indeed. And Kasov followed by 13 kills and 2,321 damage. Again, I mean, these are lads who have just been phenomenal for the side of Portal Esports.
You can never forget Ismail, like being a backbone for the team. That's obviously important at these moments. And he also had 9 kills. So every player just showcased incredible kill amount and everything for themselves. So kudos to the team.
Kudos to the team indeed. I mean, PES, the way they jumped in to day number 2 and then they moved on along to day number 3 with just incredible plays through and through. It was just phenomenal. But with that, of course, we do reach the end of our day number 3 stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow with, of course, Group P going against Group C. Until then, take care. Sayonara.
Let's get it.